there's just cars going around the track, and the announcer isn't allowed to say like, oh, this guy's leading and his pace is this and that, because that's coaching, you know. So let's say I have a good time and then you are up after me. If the announcer says that you're just 1 second behind, maybe you'll push harder, and you know that's an unfair advantage. How stupid is that? So because there's no announcing, no one knows what's going on. Yeah, the drivers don't know, but no one else knows either. So you're just watching hairdryers go around the track. Like, fuck, so lame.
Nitro is the glory. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast with your host tonight, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great, and if you are unlucky, the Finnish village idiot, JQ. This is the RC podcast with no name, but plenty of content. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some serious bench racing.
Yes, indeed, Nitro is the glory, but buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? This is episode number 37 of the No Name RC podcast. I'm your host, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great, and we're back. We took a week off, but we're back. So, thank you to everybody that sent me birthday wishes. I really appreciate it. Last week, Monday was my birthday. I turned 41. I'm getting old. I'm getting gray. Obviously, a lot of this gray hair is due to JQ and dealing with him. So thank you, JQ. I really appreciate the love that I got from everybody. Thank you. I had a quiet birthday. Enjoyed it with my family. Drank some beer. Drank some whiskey. I just chilled out for the week. Kind of chilled out, but I didn't, because we did launch a Starting Grid podcast for a race preview of the Asti race, which is really good. Joseph and I will talk about that a little bit earlier, a little bit later. Sorry, see, look, mixing up my words right away. I'll call him in a bit. But this week we have Jammin Jay Halsey on the podcast, and it's cool because I was trying to connect with Jay for the longest while. We finally got some time to do it, and I met Jay way back in 2005, and I was running Jammin. He was a cool guy, he's an icon, really nice guy to talk to. Has some good ideas, so it was really good to reconnect with him and talk to him. And I think it's a pretty good podcast. So he's a cool guy. So I hope you guys do enjoy that part of it. So yeah, we're getting back in the swing of things. Before I go on, I want to say thank you to all of the No Name RC podcast listeners, or the NNRC Squad from around the world. Without you guys, we could not make this happen. I know you guys are racing. I know you guys are busy. Summer's kicked in. You guys are doing a whole bunch of stuff, but I do appreciate the time you take to listen to our podcast, share them, like them. Come on, we spread the love, man. We're almost at 2,000 likes. Almost at 2,000 likes. So without you guys, we couldn't do this. Without you guys. Hashtag NNRC Squad. Love you guys. Now, I want to say shout out and thank you to our sponsors, because, you know, we can't do it without them either. So first we have RCMX Online. Remember, this is the latest, greatest news website to get all your RC information. Euro RC, just RC, no BS. Techno RC, JQ Racing, Beach RC, Assault RC, Bipolar Designs, 454 RC Works, and of course BK Servos, who has got the 8-scale servos in stock. Now, in this podcast, as always, we do have a written description, and in that written description is all the promo codes that you guys can save a little money when you go to our sponsors and use them. I think Bipolar hasn't given me a promo code yet, but if you do go to Bipolar, just say Lefty sent you. If you do go to Techno, say Lefty from No Name RC podcast sent you. I'm sure they'll hook you up with something, because you know what? Showing our sponsors shows us some love. So I appreciate that. I want to shout out to all my JQ Racing family, man. Guys have been racing. I saw some guys are racing. Good to see my good buddy Trent Walker. He went racing this weekend. Exciting times. The new Black Edition e-buggy's out. Guys are doing well. Congratulations to Mike Anderson. He did pretty good at the TSOC race. Congratulations to my buddy Lucas. He won his race this weekend. I'm super chuffed for Lucas. Lucas Lauren, Beach RC. Great dude, man. Thanks for, going out there working hard, repping Beach RC as well as JQ Racing, and congratulations on your win. Even my good buddy JB, he should have finished the top 3 though. He did it, but it's all right. So, yeah, people are racing. It's good to see. I guess summer's kind of winding down a bit. It's now August. Next big race up is Wicked Weekend in 2 weeks' time. Actually, sorry. No. We do have the Quebec Classic this weekend. My buddy Kevin LaChapelle, I'm probably saying that name wrong, but he sent me some pictures of the track. I will post them up in the No Name RC podcast page. So I do believe they will have live RC coverage. Think Mark Souza's going there. I think that's about it. But the track is awesome. This is a great race, and it's good stuff. And then the next weekend we have Wicked Weekend, which should be good. I was planning on going to this race, but I'm not because I believe I'm going to RCGP USA round, which I'm really excited about. Yeah, good stuff. Nothing much. It's been besides the RCGP race, I haven't really. I kind of took, like I said, I took a hiatus from RC, so I wasn't really involved last week. So I might have missed some things. I see that Kyosho made Cody King a manager. Congratulations to him. I will touch on that because you know what? We do have Jeff Keaton back this weekend. We finally got Jeff Keaton and JQ to get together after a long hiatus of them not getting together. So we got them together for the rant this week. So we'll touch on the Cody King Kyosho manager position on that because I want to get their opinions on that as well. So that should be good when we get to talk to Jeff and JQ together. Anyway, I need to talk to JQ anyway. I need to call him and see what's going on. He's traveling somewhere. He's probably in Sweden somewhere right now. But let's see. Rupert! What's going on, Rupert? Jesus. You always got to make a whole bunch of noise when I call you and start recording.
Sorry, I was busy.
Yeah. What's up, Rupert? How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm here in Sweden.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
On my way home.
Yeah. All right.
Why, are we doing a podcast now? Is this the intro?
Yeah, we're recording right now. And your internet's janky.
Oh, cool. What? It's Swedish internet.
Yeah.
Should be good.
All right.
It's good. It's fine.
All right. So, yeah. So, Asti's done in the books, rounds 5 and 6. You're on your way home. We're recording. You're in Sweden now, doing some practicing or something like that. I don't know. You need to do some practice. That's for sure. After that dismal performance that you and Max had at this round. So, let's get your thoughts on this real quick. Let's talk about this real quick. I know you don't have much time. We will do a full review of the race with the starting grid, but a lot of people don't listen to that, so let's give them a little taste of this. Oh, and
yeah, maybe they should listen to that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they should, but we have to promote it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, Asti, in a nutshell, Rupert the Sheriff showed up. Rupert Pumpernickel's the Sheriff.
That is so stupid.
Yeah, well, that's your name now.
That's my name now, Rupert.
Yeah.
The Sheriff showed up. Yeah, it was good. Asti was good. I would say it was the most talked about RCGP so far.
Yes.
I mean, each race is getting more and more attention, it seems. So that's good. People are taking notice, and maybe that shows also that we opened the entries. Immediately after Asti, we opened the entries for the US round. Mm-hmm. And it's how many hours now? 17 hours in or something?
Yeah.
And it's at 104 entries or something. So it looks like the US round will actually sell out, which is crazy.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, it's been open since last night, I believe. And it's...
so it's looking good.
Yeah, it's good.
And... I mean, there were a few updates at Asti.
Mm-hmm. I did like the 7, where the top 7 turn around and not the whole 14. I think it worked out to be good.
So in the RCGP class, instead of flipping or inverting the order of qualifying completely, we just inverted the first 7, and then 8 to 14 stayed the same. So that made it kind of 2 races in one, where the slower guys were kind of trying to be seventh so they could start first, and then the top guys would, be going for the win.
Which actually came to a benefit.
We just tried to kind of keep the top guys together, so they would be together off the start and have close races. So I don't know. That's actually something maybe the listeners could comment on. Who watched it? What do they think? Which is better? What's your opinion?
I think it worked out great because it like for instance, coming from way in the back of the pack to come first is almost impossible. Coming from seventh to win it is possible. Now, there was an instance you came from back in the pack and came seventh, and you got to start on pole, which was cool.
Yeah, that's also why I like it, because at the previous rounds, I've tended to kind of finish mid-pack, and then I start mid-pack, So...
I mean, it didn't last long.
For someone like me, it's good because I can try and finish seventh, and then I get a good starting position. And then someone like one of the top guys, they don't really have to worry about starting last if they win. They'll be mid-pack, and then with a good start, they'll be right up there again.
Yeah. So. And, I mean, your lead, you lasted 2 laps. You lasted a complete lap and a half, lap and 3/4 longer than I thought it would. So kudos to you.
I was
and then
so
you blew. Then you blew out.
You
blew out at the end, which is normal. You went.
Blow out.
Yes, you did. You blew the corner, and you went up and you cased the jump, and you just threw your race away on the last lap, on the last 2 corners of the race.
3 positions on the last lap, but
on the last 2 corners. Let's get that right.
No.
Yes, it was. It was. You lost.
It wasn't. No, it was off the finish line jump. Going into the last lap, I cased that jump.
You blew the corner before that, and Lee Martin and got in front of you and a couple other guys.
That was beginning of the last lap.
No.
Lee Martin, and
Valente. Shut up and go look at it, Rupert.
I was driving. I know what happened.
You can't remember.
Jesus Christ. Retarded guy from Dominican Republic.
I'm not from Dominican Republic. I'm from Bermuda. Get that right.
That's where you are right now.
Smooth-brained pigeon.
Why don't you put your air conditioning on? You're sounding a bit feisty.
Anyway, let's continue to talk about the racer. Because I'm a little bit disappointed. My picks, oh man, I went completely off the wall on picks.
Did you write down the picks?
No, but we'll cover that in the starting grid. But I really wanted Ronafalk or somebody to beat Ongaro. Not because I don't like Ongaro, but I didn't want to see what happened this weekend. He just got out in front and ran away with it. At some points in the qualifiers, I swear that Canas just didn't even bother chasing him. He just like, okay, I'm in second, and that's all I want. And Ongaro just went like, meow, and he just like drove off into the sunset like, thank you, Canas, I'm going to take first. And then Ronafalk and Boots are battling behind Canas trying to get around him. And he's just, he's doing right. Like he's making his car wide. But I'm like, it wasn't even an attempt to go catch him. That way, everybody could have went and caught him. So I thought that sucked.
He's just on a different level.
Yes, I know, but those guys can catch him. Like, I believe Ronafalk can beat him. I believe Boots can catch him.
I don't think they can.
Well, anyway, congratulations to Ongaro. He won the championship. Did his team win the team championship as well?
Well, no, they still have to show up to America.
Okay, but they did get they got some money for Ongaro winning the championship, correct?
Yeah, Ongaro won the championship, and they win the money for that.
So they got $10,000 for him winning the championship.
Yeah, well, they get it at the end of the season.
Yeah,
but they won it.
That's good. RCGP is so expensive, and all of this type of stuff, and the entry fee is too much money. Well, they made $10,000. I mean,
they just doubled their money.
It may not cover all their expenses, but it's better than what IFMAR, ROAR, EFRA, FARMAR, and everybody else gives back, because they don't give back anything.
Probably Associated pay for Ongaro anyway.
So that's a good thing, for all those saying that, oh, it's too expensive. It's not enough. Well, they got money back. Now, do the other teams get some money as well for like winning team championships and stuff like that?
In the future, yes, but not the first year.
Okay. All right. Cool. So let's talk about the racing real quick from your bird's eye view. Real quick, because we ain't going to go too in-depth with this. Tell us more about the race itself. The track was nice.
Yeah, the track was really good. It's a bit of a mix. So not quite Supercross of Manila, not quite Motocross of Fairing. This was more of a mix. So there were some jumps, technical sections, but also, fast European sections. It was a bit deceiving because first you thought okay, this will be pretty fast, but it's not. You had to be surprisingly slow in some sections and kind of just cruise around. And it got tricky because the line was grippy, but then it started getting dusty, so that the grip levels were varying. So that made it really difficult. And the racing was a lot of fun. I wasn't really gelling with my car or the track. I wasn't really feeling very comfortable out there. But even so, it was fun. To drive the track was fun. And we had some rough driving incidents. There was a lot of yelling, some of which was caught on camera. So looking forward to all those videos.
Mm-hmm.
But Ruffalo was mixed up with quite a few drivers. Valente, the famous interview now with infamous interview with me and Valente on Sunday before Q2.
I still think you should get penalized for intentionally taking them out. I'm going to have to talk to the RCGP staff and see what we can duck you a few points for your unsportsmanlike driving, but it was necessary.
Yeah, I think there might be something like that in the works, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I think it was well worth it. And
Hampusburg.
The track was good. Track was fun. I didn't hear any complaints about that. And the only complaints was really just about the driving standards and takeouts and all that stuff. Mao did what he could, but I think my approach really was the best, where I took over. I had a word with Mao about the drivers that we know are problems and that he should talk to them, and he didn't want to talk to them, so I took it into my own hands. I took care of one of the three. So, just blasted him off the track, and when he came to complain, I said, that's what you get.
All right, well, we'll talk
you
more about...
you need to respect the other cars on the track, and until you do, this is what's going to happen to you.
Yeah, well,
and then next race he did. So there you go.
Yeah, all right, Rupert the Sheriff. Oh, shucks. I dropped my AC controller. Okay, how about overall ambience? Like, RC2 was pretty good. I don't know the kids who won. Hampus came third, and I think he wrapped up the overall RC2 European Championship, which was pretty good. He won.
Yeah, he did. So he got the wildcard spot for next year for one race in RCGP. And we also changed up the RC2 format a bit. So at this race, they had three sort of regular IFMAR style qualifiers first. Mm-hmm. And then 2 out of 3 on points, they were reseeded into new heats. So the top 10 was in the fastest heat, and then they had a race for TQ.
Okay.
So whoever qualified first started on pole for that 6-minute race, and then they raced for, the top 10 positions, basically.
Okay.
So that was fun. They get some heads-up racing there before the actual finals.
Now, who was the two RC2 drivers that beat Hampus?
Trevisan from Italy, Mugen driver. He's good. He won. Mm-hmm. And then who got second?
He was an Agama driver, I believe. I don't have my notes there. But it wasn't, Hampus was way on at one point, and he drove back. He drove a smart race, and he ended up third. And he won the junior championship, too. So it was a good weekend for Hampus.
Yeah. Can you hear that?
What's that?
Keaton coming in. I don't know. I opened my browser, and there was that other podcast on. Yeah, I was trying to think who was second.
I will tell you this, though. Honestly, I think the interest in this race was far more than any other race so far. More than Philippines, more than Fairing. Obviously, I'm kind of working with you guys, so I can see the insights and different things and reach and whatnot. And it is amazing how much it has improved in the last week, 2 weeks. Hello? Yeah. So it's good.
It's good.
And then the excitement around the U.S. round coming up is pretty big as well. So I'm looking forward to that. It's not long. 2 months from now, we'll be in Cali. Yeah, 2 months. Well,
Yeah, it's good. There was also some drama even after the race. So the whole Canas and Ronnefalk thing, you know, they started going at it on Facebook after the race.
I think they deleted it, though. I should have screenshot that stuff.
Canas was saying that it was pretty much 50-50, you know, in the press conference afterwards. And he just ran over Ronnefalk. Like, it wasn't even close to 50-50. So, then they were arguing about that on Facebook.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Well, they should be going after each other because they're going to be fighting for second and third going into...
Yeah, that's where the interest will be at the last round. Because Ongaro, I mean, he already has this in the bag. He already won. But second place, that's up for grabs.
Yeah.
So I'm sure David will want to beat Canas.
Yeah, for sure.
Canas is ahead now. So that's going to be the race to watch, I think.
Yeah. And the American race is going to be... Well, we know it's going to be 4 Americans. We know Cavallari is going to race for S-Works, replacing Boots, and Cole's going to be back. And then we don't know. I know Brent wants an All-American, but he's going to have an All-American team for Beach RC.
Yeah.
So it should be interesting to see. Maybe it's a North American team. Who knows, you know?
Yeah.
Things are heating up, you know? Things are heating up. It's going to be good to see the interest for the USA race develop over the next 3 months. 2 months. And it's going to be good. I can't wait. Thunder Alley's iconic. I have never been to a race there. I've only visited the track once. So I'm excited. Yeah, Lefty the Great will be there, looks like. So that's also great. So good stuff. All right, so we're going to have you and Keaton on the rant this week, which is going to be epic. I think I want to talk about Cody King becoming Kyosho manager on that. So I'll leave it to that so we can... That was the other big news that happened this week that I took note of. So I want to get yourself and Jeff's opinion on that when we talk about it on the rant. So I'm going to let you go because you're going to go back to drive RC cars.
Yeah, time to drive some RC.
All right, well...
And for the full story in RCGP and all how everyone did and the teams and all of that stuff, you need to listen to the starting grid.
Yes, we need to get some more listeners on the starting grid. I'm a little disappointed. I think we might get more now. Who are we going to get on to talk about this? Are we going to get Leon on to talk about it?
Yeah, Leon Morel, Lee Martin's mechanic.
That was
actually the thing, because on the preview podcast, I had said that Lee's going to probably finish kind of where he has been finishing towards the back. And Leon wasn't very happy about that. So he was giving me grief about that. And then I guess it motivated Lee because Lee had his best race yet.
Well, that's awesome. That's really good news.
Yes, I said I'm going to talk massive shit about him before the 10 scale Worlds.
It's
he's probably going to be in the B main like at the Euros. You know, he just can't figure the Yokomo out.
Oh, Lord, have mercy. All right.
And then he'll probably do well.
Well, we aren't going to have an Assault RC Invisible Speed segment this week. Just don't have time. We will be back with that next week.
We can do it right now. Let's do it right now. Quick one, 2-minute one.
All right.
Play the intro.
Well...
You are now locked in to the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment. Check out AssaultRC.com for the latest products for all your performance RC needs. Featuring the best lubes and specialty tools on the market. Use promo code LEFTY19 at checkout for 10% off your entire order at AssaultRC.com.
Welcome to the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment. This is the part of the podcast dedicated to all of your setup questions. Now, this week, I have a question for you, Joseph.
Okay.
And we talked about it on the podcast before I went on my break. What is the difference between pillow ball and C-Hub cars, in your opinion?
Well, C-Hub car drivers tend to like women, and pillow ball car drivers tend to like men.
See,
been proven many times over.
You always got to go do something completely stupid.
Yeah.
Like if I was
like before when we talked about Savoya, you know, how Savoya likes balls.
If I was there right now, I'd definitely slap you.
Okay, I need to go, so I'm going to do this quick. The thing is that they drive differently because they have different geometry. Now, the pillow ball suspension, the front end, it's locked in. Like, you can't really do that much because because of the way it's built up. So you have to imagine that the top ball is basically the outer location for the upper link, and at the same time it's also the location of the kingpin. So the kingpin is inclined, so you have a lot of inclination, and then that determines where the upper link is at the same time. You can't have the upper link at a different location to where the kingpin line or like intersection is, because it's the ball. That's it. So you're kind of locked in. You can't do as much with a pillow ball front end as you can with a C-hub one. So the C-hub is more adjustable. And you can actually make a C-hub front end handle like a pillow ball front end, because you can put the pillow ball geometry in a C-hub, but you can't do the other thing. So you can't do it the opposite way. So you're locked in with how the car handles on a pillow ball setup. But on a C-hub, you can do anything. You can do anything you want, pretty much. So I prefer the C-hub for that reason. You can run no inclination. You can run any number of inclination, like just a few degrees or many degrees. And you can set the upper link length and location independently from your kingpin inclination. So because of that thing, the C-hub is more adjustable. So yeah, I say C-hub for the win every time.
Okay, but
and the people who say that, oh, the pillow ball is good on rough tracks, on power, high speed, corners, bumpy, like that. Yeah, you can make a C-hub good there too. You just make the geometry like a pillow ball, but it can still be a C-hub.
No, all right. Well, that's what I want to know. What are the handling characteristics? What are the difference in handling characteristics? Where would a C-hub car be better compared to a pillow ball car?
Your kind of typical, the way they are set up now, the way the pillow ball cars are now, the way the C-hub cars are now. Typically, a C-hub car can have more linear steering. So you have the same steering at all speeds and on or off power. So the steering is very consistent and linear. Typically, they will be a bit more aggressive or nervous. So on high speed, rough sections on power, they won't be as stable as a pillow ball car. And then a pillow ball car, the steering typically has some instance where it has more steering or where it has less steering than otherwise. So the steering isn't consistent and linear. So you kind of have to, you'll get used to the car and how it drives, and the driver kind of adapts to the steering. But at some speed, it will have more or less steering, or on power, it will have more or less steering. So it's not as consistent. It's not as linear, the steering, as on the C-hub cars. And then, like I said, high speed, difficult tracks on power, the more stable.
Okay.
So yeah, there's that.
So how would you make, like, if you wanted to make your car to handle like a pillow ball car, what changes would you actually make to your car right now?
Well, the car designer would have to make those changes. You can't make the changes on the existing C-hub.
Sorry, I thought you could change link positions and stuff like that, and
No.
kingpin inclination and whatnot. Okay, cool. So, I mean, I drove pillow ball forever. I came from Mugen to the JQ car, right? And with my Mugen car, I was so used to it, just like controlled aggressiveness, as that's the word I can use for it. Like I could come into a corner anywhere and I could turn, and the back end may come around a little bit, but I could bring it back around and I'll be all right. Now, when I tried to do that with my JQ car, I found that it pushed, right? Until you said, you gotta brake first, turn, and accelerate. So that's my experience with C-hub cars. I've only really driven the Jammin before that. Mostly I've driven pillow ball cars most of my RC career. So yeah, thank you for clearing that up a little bit. I hope it does clear it up for some people. Let us know what you think. And remember, go to assaultrc.com, type in Lefty19 and get 10% off your order. Showing our sponsor some love shows us some love. Thank you, Joseph, for your time. Talk to you later. Have fun. Get back to Finland safely. And I'll talk to you in the rant.
Call me for the rant.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Luca Honas from Taiwan. You are listening to the No Name RC podcast. And for our Asian friends, 你好，我是 Luca， 你现在正在收听 No Name RC 广播。Have fun.
So our guest this week, everybody, is an icon in the RC industry. He isn't even sure, but he says that he's a 1984 or 1985. He won the two-wheel drive IFMAR World Championships. He created his own 8-scale car and team and pretty much was the founding father of what our teams look like now, like pop-up tents that all matched, like the whole team vibe. He kind of started all this. So I want to introduce to you guys, I met him many years ago. He treated me really well when I used to race his car. Great dude. Mr. Jammin Jay Halsey. What's up, Jay? How are you?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. We finally caught up. We've been talking for months. You've been busy. I've been busy, and I'm glad to get you on the, her on the line. What's going on, man? You're a busy man.
Well, I'm glad we finally hooked up, and yeah, I've been very busy. Still do a little bit of RC stuff here and there. It's still in my blood, but I've always worked in the film industry, and the last 4 or 5 years, it's just been crazy busy, and that takes up a lot of my time, and spend a lot of hours doing that. It's not uncommon to have 18, 20-hour days in that industry. So.
I could imagine. I mean, I know one time he was like, well, we can do it on my way to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. And, we just couldn't get connected. But I'm glad you're on here, man, because, like you was a big part of my 8-scale when I was racing RC cars. And, I actually raced one of your cars, the Jammin car that I really liked. And when I came to a couple of races, you guys treated me nice. I was there with Paul and my other buddy, Keeman. And you treated us well, and I loved it, man. We had a blast hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, we've had a great time, and I miss those days of racing, the team, and all the great people like yourself that we got to meet over the years, and we had a lot of fun. I think that was part of our success back then. We did very, very well, and Sorry about that.
No worries.
Back then, we did very, very well with sales, and a lot of it was just we didn't have big budgets for marketing going up against the bigger teams. A lot of it was just using past experience and past connections from when I was younger racing. I traveled all over the world racing, and so I knew a lot of the hobby shop owners, and now their sons or their daughters were running these hobby shops, and so when we started making these cars, we were on a shoestring budget, and we went to these races. We tried to help out our customers as good as we could, and I think at the time there wasn't companies doing that at the tracks as far as support, and that really helped us out a lot.
Yeah, I actually kind of use that model myself when I go to big races. As part of JQ Racing, like we get everybody to pit together. We set up the pits. We always got like beer flowing, water. We have fun. And I think I kind of got that from you. And I was like, this is how I want it to be if I was ever on a team again. I want to feel like I'm part of something. I always say be a part of a team, not just a number. Now more companies, I mean, I would honestly say companies are doing it, but I've noticed since we started doing it a couple years ago, more companies are doing it now. Like DNC this year, everybody was pitted together, like Losi, Kyosho, Techno. Techno has always done that. But it's good to see because, we're all having fun here. And we're, even the guys who are getting paid to do this and the guys who are paying the bills for these guys, which is the regular guys, they should, we're all a part of a team and we all enjoy RC. So we should all do it together and hang out with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of the way I approached it. I approached it, I think, a little bit differently. In my career racing, when I was younger, racing for a lot of these top teams, this weekend I might be the guy that's winning for them. The next weekend it might be another guy on the team winning for them. Well, they would always cater to that guy and really lose vision that any one of those guys could win. And when we started up our team, we had picked people across the U.S. that, one, would represent us well. Two, it wasn't just all about winning. It was like they ran good and they were good representatives in their local area where we didn't have a very big impact. And we wanted our product to be seen more. and we know they would be helpful. But I also looked at it like our customers were part of our advertising, because like yourself, you guys flew into races. We would, if people needed a place to pit, if people that are our customers, if people, we even let people pit there that weren't our customers.
Yeah, we do that too.
And we tried to always help out with the cars. And I think my past experience, if I ever had that kind of help when I was racing, I would definitely promote that product, you know? So I think it, not just the team guys, but the customers helped build the brand huge back then for us.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And like I said, that's my motto is be a part of a team, not just a number. So anybody that runs our products is welcome to pit with us if we have space. Usually we run out of space. And we even have guys that don't even run our cars that like to hang out with us and pit with us when we go to races. So because we like to have fun. We get in trouble sometimes too, but we like to have fun. But all right. So I know who you are, and a lot of the older generation, or not even older, my age and maybe a little younger, know who you are. But we have a lot of new guys out here that are racing. I just want to do I always like to do early beginnings. So let's talk about, when did you get your first RC car and how did that happen?
I think my first RC car was like 81, 82, around there. I'm guessing right around there in early 80s, and I was around 12 years old at the time. And at the time, Tamiya, they ran a advertisement on TV for the Rough Rider. It was, one of the first RC cars that looked like a real off-road car. And at the time, my family was into off-roading and going to the desert and stuff out here. So it really appealed to me, the commercial. And I remember my parents bought me the car for Christmas, but I still didn't have radio gear or any electronics or anything. So I worked part-time. I built the car. It was just sitting on the shelf, but I didn't have any electronics. And so I got that first car. I worked some, mowing lawns and delivering papers and anything I could do. And I was able to afford a controller and then batteries. Back then there was no, electronic speed controls, there was resistors. But to show you how green I was, I didn't even know positive and negative. So I put all electronics in, plugged it in for the first time, all excited to run the thing, and it just melted to the ground.
No way.
Yeah, so it had to sit for another 6 months till I had, money and everything, because I had to buy, at that time, that Tamiya car had a plastic radio case. It melted everything. So then I got the car going and drove it around, and it was cool, but they just didn't hold up anything like today's cars. And it was fun, but it broke very easy. But it was a really neat car, and I think that just got me hooked. You know?
So what happened after then? Like, where did you go? Did you find a place to race, or, where did you go from there?
It was probably a year or so, and I had a summer job before I started high school, bussing tables and washing dishes at a restaurant. And at the end of the summer, I had money saved, and there was not RC magazines. Gene Hustings at the time wrote an article that was an airplane magazine that you couldn't find anywhere, but it was at the library by my house. So I used to go in there as soon as that thing would come out every month, and they wouldn't let you check it out. You had to read it there, but I'd read his article. Well, it was on local racing, but it was on-road racing, 12 scale electric on-road racing. So at that time, I think the car that was just coming out was the 12E. And so I went to the hobby shop, and they didn't even have, I worked all summer, I saved up money. I went to the local hobby shop where I live. They didn't even have a kit, but they had all the parts. So I bought every part off the shelf. And then I took it home, and then I'd go back to the library and look at the pictures of the car, and then go back and work on it. Finally, I got it together, and in the magazine, they said they raced locally every, whatever it was, second Sunday of the month in Culver City. So my dad and I went down there, and I raced for the first time. And it was electric 12 scale on-road, and after that, I was just hooked. It was an awesome experience. Then that was like really the only organized racing. And to explain how much different it was from today. We didn't have transponders and computer counters and this and that. You know, as a guy with a stopwatch, and there was segments on the track that were marked. So you would race. After your race, you would turn marshal. Then after that, you would lap count. And you would sit in front, and you'd have one car that you had to count. Every person had to do this. When that car crossed the line, you would look at the clock and write down when they crossed the line. Now, when the time was up at 4 minutes, you just stopped your car wherever you're at. So then your lap counter would put, okay, it was 4 minutes and 3 segments.
Wow.
You know, and that's how you qualified back then, you know.
Interesting. That must have been difficult back then. How many cars were on the track at a time?
Probably like 8 to 10,
Okay.
kind of like today in qualifying.
All right.
But, you know, the difference was nowadays it's so competitive. You could never do that.
Mm-mm.
2 things, the qualifying's within tenths or hundreds. And 3 things, everybody's so competitive, I'm not sure that you would get accurate counting from your competitor.
No, exactly.
Well, back then it was just a bunch of guys out having fun, you know, but it was an eye opener, but anyway, that kind of got me hooked, and then, you know, it just kind of kept going from there. And I think there was a local real race car track where there was an RC track built at that track. It was in Gardena, California, called Ascot, and we went there one night to watch the races because we heard they had off-road racing. So we went there, and when we were there, a guy had a car on the hood of an RC car on the hood of his car that he had just traveled to Japan and bought, but didn't want it because he didn't have parts. And we were looking at it, and we thought it was pretty cool. I think I bought the thing from him for like $50, no electronics. It was a Cox car.
Mm-hmm.
And then it had like a broken rear arm or something on it. So I went in metal shop at high school the next week, and I machined billet aluminum arms for it. And then we used the radio gear that was in my on-road car. We put in there, and then I think a week later we were racing at Ascot, you know, and that kind of was the beginning of my off-road career.
Yeah. Hey, people would look at you crazy if you told them they had to Dremel 2 millimeters of plastic off a car nowadays.
Oh yeah, people nowadays are spoiled. I remember back then, like the pistons didn't even fit in the shocks, you know. there wasn't quality. I mean, the car's bound up, building a transmission. We would spend 2 or 3 hours just doing a transmission to make sure everything fit. And back then, I made a lot of side money just building RC10 6-gear transmissions, you know.
Really? So you got the Cox car. You started racing at Ascot. Did you have a natural talent for off-road, or was it?
Yeah, I think I did well just because of background in real off-road stuff that we did. So we knew a lot about setups and things like that. And with driving the on-road car, I learned to drive it pretty well. And so it did come sort of natural. And there was a couple people at the track early on that were like local guys that made a lot of their own stuff for their cars. There wasn't like, back then you bought a car and then you made all the stuff for it. It wasn't like you just went to the hobby shop and they had trick arms or they had this or that. No one sold anything for it, you know?
Interesting.
But, you know, one thing I forgot to mention, when I raced that on-road car, back then we didn't have reverse switches on our transmitter for the servos. So when you put a servo in a car, if it was backwards, you had to send it back to the manufacturer. They could rewire the servo for you and, you know, to make the steering the correct direction.
Right.
So I remember when I got that car all together, it was a Futaba box transmitter with a steering wheel on it.
I remember those.
When I got that car together, I was so anxious to race, I didn't have time to send the servo in. So I raced with it backwards, and I think I held the transmitter backwards, but I practiced with it at home, and it just became natural with the servo backwards. It sounds crazy, but it did. And then I went and raced, and I did well. Actually, I won that day racing production class. And then after that, one of the guys out there goes, "Oh, let me take that servo and I'll rewire it for you," and blah, blah, blah. He worked at one of the manufacturers. I don't remember who it was at the time, but so he rewired it for me, and my dad picked it up. And the next week I went racing again, and I did terrible because I was so used to the backwards steering that I did terrible. I couldn't have done any worse. I hit everything on the track. I just wasn't used to it, you know.
That's crazy. I remember those box radios. I an older guy back in the day had one in Bermuda, and he was showing them to me, and yeah, that's crazy. People just won't know. Like, they won't know nowadays.
Yeah.
Who were some of your early influences back then?
You know, when I went to those tracks, and early on, I would see the Associated guys. They were like the only legit team at the time. You know, there was a couple, I think Bolink and Leisure and a couple other on-road teams, you know, or on-road companies had cars when I was racing on-road. But I would go to the track, and I would watch the Associated guys and how good they were, and I was always impressed with that, you know. Mm-hmm. And I was just thinking to myself, one day, man, maybe I can race for a company like that, you know. And then I started doing off-road racing, you know, RC 10-scale electric off-road racing, and that Cox car, we built everything on the car. I mean, we made titanium frame rails. I made the front arms and rear arms. Basically, the only thing Cox anymore on it was, I think, part of the drivetrain. I don't even know if that was. And I think back then, early influences, Mike Reedy, mm-hmm. Bob Novak, Eustace Moore. Eustace lived not far from my area where I grew up in Hawthorne. And we met him at the track. And I remember my dad and I going to a shop in, I think it was Gardena, at night and picking up parts. He made differentials and stuff back then for like the Tamiya car, and we had built a gearbox that would interchange for the Cox car. And Bob Novak, you know, he was making servos and stuff then, but he used to go out racing all the time. And Mike Reedy would be out at these tracks. He didn't race. Once in a while he'd race, but he's just there helping people. And I remember Mike Reedy helped me a couple times early on, and so did Bob Novak and Eustace Moore. And then I would say those guys there were, you know, there was a guy, Carl Thompson, JG Manufacturing, John Goodving, and he was my very first sponsor ever. And I met him about second or third time racing, and he made like bumpers and stuff, but he was just awesome. He would help me out and help me get tires and stuff like that. We used to race at a place called Great Western Hobbies, and that was family-owned deal there, and they were just great people, and it was the type of thing, oh, you don't have money for tires, just take them, and next time you come race and pay us, you know. And so I had a lot of help.
And your dad was a big influence. I believe I met him in 2004 at Lance's, the Dirt Nitro Challenge. The Nitro Fest, sorry.
Yeah. My dad, I should have mentioned my dad. My parents were a huge influence on me. My dad, he was totally against me buying that on-road car because of the previous experience with the off-road car that I'd bought, you know, or they had got me for Christmas, and everything melted down, and then the car would always break. And so he was so against me getting that on-road car when I bought it. But then once I did, he was hooked too, and he'd always come. My dad was a banker, so I didn't get to see him a whole lot. He was gone early in the morning and he'd get home later at night, but he'd come home, and one of the hobby shops was by his bank where he worked at the time, and it's called TQ Hobbies. And actually, their other shop was called, I think, I don't remember the name. They had another name also. But anyway, my dad would be down there, and he'd pick up bearings or a new resistor for the, you know, he was always trying to get things better and better. And I think that was a huge part of my success, because my dad would, you know, work on, if it was on-road, the tweak of the car and how freely everything rolled, and different lubricants for bearings and different types of bearings. And I mean, he was just really into it. And so when we went racing back then, we probably had a pretty big advantage over people because of how technical we were with the car. No one was even close to that at the time,
All right. Well, when did you start really taking off-road more serious?
I would say early, probably around 83-ish, right in there, with that car that we basically were making every part on the car then. I won the first 10 skills called the Orca Nationals. I won that with that car. And they had a series kind of like we have a few different series now, and I won every race in the series that year. And then I won the Nationals, and then a associate approached me, and they approached me at a race one night at TQ Hobbies in Torrance. It was just a club race, and Mike Reedy came to talk to me and said, hey, you might have heard we're trying to develop a car, and we'd like someone like yourself that's younger to help race for us and develop this thing, but it's still ways off. Would you guys be interested? And my dad and I said, well, let's talk about it and we'll get back to you. I remember us going home thinking, man, this is awesome, because this is the company that sends people all over the world racing,
Mm-hmm.
And but we were doing great racing on our own already, and we had seen that car a little bit in testing, and we weren't 100% impressed with the car. But anyway, it was in development stage at the time. But anyway, we talked, and we agreed to work with them, and we went from winning every race we went to losing every race we went to.
Wow,
because it was just so far off. At the time, they were using little bitty shock bodies that were 8 scale for an 8 scale gas car, that they had little bitty shocks, transmission issues, just a lot of problems. And I think at the time it was myself, Gil Ossie Jr., and I think that was it early on running the car for development. And between all of us, we came up with a lot of fixes and addressed a lot of problems, and then that car came out, and it went from, Associates numbers. I don't know their numbers, exactly what they did, but I remember they always had, I think, 5,000 on back order, and I think they could only make, 4,000 or 5,000 a month or something like that. But it put them on the map, and it put me on the map, because we went back to winning races again, and Associated was, they sent me all over the world racing, and I would have never got to do that, travel the world and do that any other way. So it was an awesome experience.
Yeah. What car was that then that you helped develop, the first one?
It was the RC10.
Okay. And then I actually just went and researched it. You did win in 1985, the two-wheel drive. Where was that to?
That was in Del Mar, California.
Okay. How about that, man? Let's talk about that. I think we can even probably find video of that online. Pretty sure we can.
Yeah.
Who was the top? Who was the top guys going in?
What's that?
Who was your competition going into that race?
I mean, there was a lot of guys back then that were really good. There was Gil Jr., Mike Dunn, Steve Dunn. I'm probably missing a lot of guys. Eustace Moore, Chris Alec. I don't remember all the guys at the time, but I mean, it's just like anything, though. I don't care what you do. If you do something competitive, it doesn't matter what it is, racing, sports, whatever. If you do something good and you put your heart into it and you put your 200% effort into it, you probably got a better chance at winning that race than anyone else. And so I didn't really look at it going to a race, and I'm not saying that big-headed. I didn't really look at it going to a race and going, okay, this is my competition. I went to that race to win. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't look at who my competition was, because I didn't care. I was very prepared. And and that's still the way I do things now. I think once you've worked hard and achieved a certain level in anything you've done, sports, racing, whatever, it's built into you. You don't like to do something and do it half-ass. So there's things, I have it built into the way I work, my daily routine, how I do things, and it's helped me a lot,
Yeah, you have to be. I mean, like if you get a chance, you get some time, they had the Euros, probably the best 45 minutes of nitro racing I've ever seen. And it came down to like David Ronnefalk and Ricardo Berton, like a hair, like at the last, like just at the line. And I know Ronnefalk's mad about that, like, cause he's so competitive, like, and he wants to win. So I think that's something that all good RC drivers have, is that they want to win. If they didn't have that that passion to win, they wouldn't be where they are. So I can understand that.
Yeah, my dad always said this. You show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser. And that doesn't mean you have to go out and throw a temper tantrum or, throw your stuff or whatever. But if you put 100% into something, and you put everything you have into it, and you don't win, if you're not upset in some way, there's something wrong, And if you're not upset, you probably didn't put in 100%. You're probably, not focused, not putting the time you should on your equipment or your practice or whatever it is to get you to win,
Yep. And that car that you won with, was that, how much of that was production? How much of that was just pretty much one-off stuff?
Oh, no, it was pretty much a production car back then, the Associated car. We obviously would go through, remount all the arms. I'd machine the chassis down and light and everything. We'd spend a lot of time on the transmission, the shocks, but it was pretty much production parts,
Yeah. So, sorry, go ahead.
But back then, too, when I won that was the first tire Proline ever made. It was a front tire. It was the guy, Joe, that owned Proline at the time. I think he was making tires in his garage. And it was like a knobby front tire. And, there wasn't, that tire made a huge difference at that track, at the time. And even the speed control I ran at the time, it was Novak electronic speed control. It was the first time we had ran it. We had tested with it. We had some issues, but Bob was a friend. And at testing at Del Mar, we were going back to back with the resistor, and we were having more problems with the electronic speed control. But we decided to go with it because we felt that two things: it still was competitive. It was maybe a little bit quicker, and as far as response, that might help me. And Bob was a good friend, know.
Because it's a shame that that Novak's not around anymore. But
yeah, it's very sad.
Yeah. We can go on about that, lipos and brushless and whatnot, but it's changed the hobby so much. Okay. After that win, I remember one of the most famous commercials ever is like they had a replica of your buggy, like a full scale replica, I believe, and you posing in it in a race suit and all that stuff. I thought that was so cool in the RC magazines back in the day. So that boosted your career. How much longer did you race competitively after your Worlds win?
I would say I raced competitively till mid-90s. I got married in 93. I started getting a little bit more focused on my business. At that time, I was racing for Losi, and it just wasn't as important in my life anymore. I wasn't putting in the effort that it took to race, and I'd done it for so long, and since I was so young, and it's something you dream about doing, but sometimes you do that, and I didn't have any other life. Every weekend I was going somewhere to race, and a lot of times everybody goes, "Oh, that's cool, man, you got to go here, go over there, and you got to do this." Well, in the early days, you didn't have a big race every weekend. You had a big race, and maybe a couple months later you had a big race, so you could take time when you were there and do things. Then it became every week we had a race, or like appearance at a hobby shop before a race, and I'm not just talking in the U.S., I'm talking all over the world. So I was just on a crazy schedule, and I think I just eventually got burnt out,
Yeah.
And so I would say, around 93, 94, 95-ish is probably the last years. I still won some races here and there, but I wasn't putting in the effort.
Okay. And people don't realize that. I've had a little taste of it with my little travels over the last 2 years. But these guys that are racing now, man, they're going every weekend almost. I don't think if they spend a weekend at home a month, that's it. it's definitely it's fun, but when you have family and all that and other interests, it costs a lot.
Yeah.
So did you just like get out of racing altogether and just focus on the film business, or what happened then?
No, I'd been working in the film business since about 86. So
Mm-hmm.
right out of high school, I did some film jobs. And so off and on, I always did that. And then around 93, I got a little bit more focused with the RC business. I mean, we were working with Losi was distributing everything. We were working together on the Jammin stuff there. Then I left Losi and took it all back over again. And just kind of focused on the products and also the film stuff. And then I'm not sure when it was, but I got involved with IFMAR.
Mm-hmm.
Dave was a friend at the time, and he used to come to my dad and I and ask us. He knew nothing about RC, but he was importing stuff from Taiwan.
Yeah.
So he would come to my dad and I and ask us advice, and we'd help him out. And then he started doing better and better financially. He was like the first guy in Taiwan bringing stuff in, and it was decent stuff at a good price, you know. So I got involved with him. Jammin then was distributed exclusively through IFMAR. And then, later on we started building cars and everything else. So
Yeah. What was Jammin making before it made its car? What type of parts were you guys making?
because of the differentials I did for the associated car, I was really well known for that. Mm-hmm. So we did diff tubes, upper diff tubes for that 6-gear transmission. We did our own differential locking rings. Differentials didn't have, the rings didn't have like locating spots on them at the time. They were just round.
Right.
We also made differentials for the Yokomo 4-wheel drive car, front and rear diffs. We made bodies, we made tires, and we made a lot of different products. Diff lube was a huge thing. I mean, it sounds crazy, but we had a certain diff lube, which nowadays is the same diff lube most of the companies out there sell and have copied. But before that, no one had a diff lube like that for the diff balls.
Okay. All right. Now we get into my genre of my time in racing, 2004, 2005, probably one of the most highly anticipated 8-scale platforms that I can think that in my time, besides the Thunder Tiger. The Thunder Tiger was very well anticipated, I believe around this time or a little bit later. The Jammin car, man, I remember, because I was real cool with Paul Coleman. I had just done pretty good in Bermuda. I won a couple of series, and the local hobby shop wanted to sponsor me. And he wanted Kimon to run the Hyper 7, and I was going to run the 9.5, the Hong Nauer 9.5. And Paul goes, just run it, because Paul was Hyper 7 guy, and he was like, just run the Hong Nauer because the Jammin's coming out and it's going to be good, right? And so I waited, and it didn't come out in time, so I went back to Mugen, but I finally did get it. Wow, and that was a great car, man. How did the whole Jammin thing, you touched on it, but how did it all come about? Like, you went from building parts to like a whole 8-scale platform.
Well, Dave at IFMAR, he had approached me because he was bringing in the Hung Nor car at the time, and I don't remember what car it was, I don't remember what model it was that they made at the time. But anyway, he was bringing in that car, but no one raced it ever.
No.
And he said, "Hey, look, build one of these cars and tell me what you think if you guys could race it." So, and we were still racing once in a while. I think at that time we were running Mugen stuff. And we did our own team. We went out and approached other manufacturers in the industry to help give us money to support to go do these races. Nothing was going back in our pockets. It was Mike Dunn and I had an enclosed trailer and a truck, and we said we're gonna do this team and we're gonna go to these races across the U.S. and so we got different companies to put in money, like MIP, Pegasus Hobbies. I think Proline did something for us, and different companies. We put their stickers on the trailer, and that helped us go racing. But at the time, we were running Mugen cars, and Mugen made us a big promise, and they failed to follow through with it, and I was pissed about it. And we didn't have the money to finish off the rest of your racing. And Dave approached me because I was working with him with my parts. He was distributing stuff at IFMAR. He approached me to maybe see about racing this car, the car Hung Norris making.
It was the 9.5 or something like that, I remember.
I think so. I think it was actually before the 9.5.
Oh, okay.
So they gave us a car to put together, and it was terrible. And I said, it's going to take this, this, and this to make this even where we can go race a little bit. And it's going to cost this much money. And he's like, okay, we'll do it. So he put up the money. We made all different differentials. I mean, it was every part of that car we changed. And we went to races. We did well at the time. Then Adam Drake started racing for us. And we did well at races, but we just came up short at so many major races because we'd have car failures. And so we finished out that season, and I told Dave, I said, I appreciate it, but we're done. We don't want to continue with this car. And at that time, Davey from Hung Nor wanted to make a more competitive car, and then it was the 9.5. And so we said, well, we'll try with this, and we ran it for a while, but it needed some huge changes. And at the time, I wanted to develop my own car. And so, that's when Hung Nor approached me and said, through IFMAR, saying, hey, well, maybe we can work together developing this new car. And that's how the Jammin car came about.
How long did it take from idea to production to do that?
Probably a year and a half.
Okay. But you guys were on it promoting. I remember you had Drake. Drake was running it. Like you said, we just talked about it earlier. You got on the East Coast, you got like Lance Nork and Gus were running it, and Lance's crew.
Yep.
And
well, the first when we prototyped it, I think we only had enough parts to build 4 or 5 cars, and they're production parts, but we did short runs for testing. Mm-hmm. And the Worlds was coming up. And I believe it was Sweden. And so myself, Adam Drake were going. And I could afford to send myself and Adam, but I couldn't afford to send anyone else. Mm-hmm. And then Dean approached me at a race and said, hey, man, I'm going, Dean Sexton. And I said, hey, man, I'm going. And if you give me a car, I'll race your car. I'm paying my own expenses and everything. I said, well, I'll have to see. I just don't know if we have enough to give you a car and have spares. And then Lance Norick approached me the same way. So Lance and Dean went there and raced our car also. And that was kind of the beginning. That was our first major race we went to with the car. We did okay. We didn't, I think Adam made it to the race right before the, it's like a Christmas tree type deal. Right. I think he made it to the race right before the main.
He made it to the semis then.
Yeah, I believe so. But I think people realized then, we're a small team. I think, the bigger teams kind of laughed at us, Kyosho and them, they had 50-man teams there, and we had 4 guys, and they have guys just sent there to pit, and we're racing and pitting and doing everything, Mm-hmm. And, but we learned a lot going there, and we came back, and because we actually hadn't really started production on the cars, we were able to make changes. And that was one thing I pride myself in. We weren't so big that, there was races we went to back then after that race that maybe a part broke, maybe an axle broke in the main event. And I'd be on the phone to Taiwan that night going, hey, these axles broke. We need to pull everyone out of every kit being shipped, and we need to check them. And if they're bad, throw them away and let's start over. And I did that,
Mm-hmm.
And I think the difference between us and the bigger companies, they had so many cars packaged ready to go, they couldn't make changes like that. When They had problems, those cars shipped with problems for a year,
Mm-hmm.
And so that helped us huge back then.
That's cool. I remember just waiting for that car to come out so bad. It came out, this is back in the starting grid days. I think I got mine in 2000. Yeah, I had it early 2005, I want to say. I can't remember. But it was a great piece of kit, man. It was awesome. And the team vibe was great. I believe later on that year you got, or maybe it was the year before, you got Chad Bradley. You had Taylor James. Oh, man, Taylor James was so fast back in the day.
Yep.
And you guys pretty, like regionally across America, had just probably one of the biggest at that time in 2005, and I remember, and you had one of the biggest teams like this, like compared to the other big teams like Kyosho and Mugen, because at that time it was just Kyosho and Mugen, really.
Yeah, Kyosho, Mugen, Thunder Tiger,
Yeah.
I think too. But we were still a small team, but we had a big appearance at the races for probably a tenth of the budget what the big teams were spending.
And you
But
look
we had-
better. That's the thing. You look better with the pits and banners and all that stuff, and you look like a real race team. That's the one thing I always remember, like Silver State.
I remember we had wheel and deal. I didn't have the budgets. I remember I met a person that worked at Easy Up, and they were interested in some of our RC stuff, and so we wheeled and dealed to get Easy Ups. I mean, back then even a 10 by 20 custom made, because they silk screen them before they put them together, sew them together. But a 10 by 20 custom made with full sidewalls screen printed in case you needed that, and half sidewalls, you're like $5,000.
That's great. So much money.
And I didn't have that, and we needed like 3 or 4 of those.
Yeah.
Because we would set them up in the pits like an L shape next to the trailer. In the trailer, we had all our parts, and I would pit in there just because I couldn't watch my stuff often, but I'd make sure the team guys pit outside so they were always accessible by customers going up and talking to them.
Oh, it was so cool. I met you at the IFMAR race in 2005 at Lance's track, and that's where I met you. And then again, I met you at the RC Pros. No, because I did Silver State. I got sick at Silver State, but that's when you guys had the pit set up. You had Dean's RV, you had your trailer over here. We had everybody pitting there, myself, Paul. It was so much fun. I only got to do it for one day, but man, that was just like, I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And it took so long for that to catch on to other teams. Like, it's just catching on, I would say, the last few years.
Yeah, and my big thing, if you went to a motocross event, if you went to anything other than RC, that's how people did things. In RC racing, guys would just show up, and it just looked like a yard sale, or out there, it was unorganized. And so I always said, once we get a team going, I don't care what it takes, but we're going to make it a lot nicer, and we're going to make sure the drivers. Why have drivers pitted in a motorhome where no one can go approach them? You know what I mean? You need them out there accessible so people could go up and ask questions and setups. I mean, that's why you have drivers. It's not just to win a race. It's to help customers and get the exposure and your cars out there.
Yeah. All right. I remember Drake left the team, and then did he leave the team and then you got Chad Bradley and Taylor James? Or was he still on the team when you got Bradley? And because at this time, like, Chad Bradley was the guy in 8 scale. He was the man.
No, he was. It was kind of iffy when he was going to leave. I mean, he left on great terms, but Losi was developing a car, and he didn't know how long he could still race for us. But he kind of did race by race, and I think the last race was the Dirt Nitro Challenge. I don't know what year that was, but I did have Taylor James. That was Taylor's first race racing for us, a major race, I believe, and Chad Bradley's. I remember Taylor flew out a couple times, and we went testing out there, and it just went terrible. And then everything just kind of worked out at that race, and Taylor won the race, and Adam got second. I believe Chad broke, but at one time we were running first, second, and third till pretty close to the end of the race, and I remember at that time, I felt like I owed Adam so much because we had lost so many races previously because on the other cars that we were racing before the Jammin car, and he never really got that big win, not just for us, but for him, and at that race, it was Taylor James and Adam just battling back and forth, and here they're both Jammin cars, so I mean, I want either one of them to win, but Taylor was pretty aggressive at the time, and he won the race, and I was so bummed. Here we won the race, and I was so happy for Taylor because it was his first win for us, but I also knew it was Adam's last race for us, and I was so bummed, but Adam and Taylor, they're still, I'm still close with them. We still talk every once in a while, and that kind of shows the relationship we all had back then. Even Chad Bradley, I'd seen Chad for a few years. He works for A-Main Hobbies now, and just last week I met Mike Dunn and his family at their lake house in Northern California, and I stopped by on the way up there at A-Main in Chico and saw Chad for a few minutes, but we all still have a great relationship. I always joke around. I'll send out like a group text to the McCurry brothers and Matt and all the guys and Gary Guess and Taylor and everybody that raced for us. I have a group text. And I'll go, okay, let's get the band back together. We going to this race, guys? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And what's funny is if I was dead serious and said, hey, I got a company that's going to set us up with cars and let's go do it, I guarantee every one of them would go do it in a second.
Yeah. How did you wrestle Chad away from Mugen? Because, like I said, he was one of the hottest 8-scale guys out there at the time.
He was, and I'd known Chad since way before Mugen days. He was friends with the Dunns. He hung out at their RC track in the valley all the time, so I knew him. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it was that hard to do, to be honest. I mean, Chad is a faithful guy. He does not like change. If you do something for him, it's for life, man. He's going to be there for you. And I think it was the same thing. It happened to us in the early days with Mugen. I think there was a lot of unkept promises to Chad, and I think he was ready to switch. It didn't take much to persuade him, And then to tell you about Chad, when I went to A-Main Hobbies to see him, on his desk, or above his desk on the shelf, he has his 2 jamming cars still sitting there with jamming stickers and everything on them, like when he raced them last.
That's cool.
So that means a lot to me, because that shows how much it meant to him too.
You guys had a little beef with Mugen around that time too, 2005, because was it at the RC Pro Finals that somebody threw a Coke soda or something? I can't remember if that.
Yeah, I mean, the beef started before that because there was a lot of unkept financial promises with racing that they agreed to help do, and we went and paid for all this stuff on our own, Mike Dunn and I, and we all raced that car, and then they never paid the expenses like they agreed to.
Wow.
And so then, fast forwarding to a few years later when we're doing our car, Chad was their key driver, and he starts racing for us. And so I'm sure they were not happy with that. And it was in the middle of, it wasn't like at the end of the year, it was in the middle of a series. And I don't know what race that was. That might have been the RC Pro Series or
It was
something.
the finals, I think.
Yeah, and depending on how he did there is if he could still win or not, And they were doing everything they could on the track to just take him out, and then he won. Then they protested it, and I don't remember exactly, but we got an argument there, and amongst arguing, someone threw a Coke at me, a Coke can from behind, instead of just facing me like a man. That's how they dealt with things. And but nevertheless, Chad won, and we went on to have a great relationship together with Chad and jamming and wins, and over the next quite a few years.
And Taylor done really well too. Taylor was really like one of the hottest young guys coming out of there. Paul used to call him Taylor Cruz. And man, I watched him race at the IFMAR Challenge, and woof, that kid was so fast.
Yeah. We had a lot of, with Taylor and, Adam had moved on, but Taylor and Chad, we had Matt Gosh, we had Gary Guess. We had a lot of guys that were very, and, I might be missing somebody there, the McCurry brothers, but a lot of those guys, what was unique with our team is I truly believed every one of those guys wanted to win, but if they knew they weren't winning, they'd wanted Jammin to win. And I remember these guys breaking in tires for each other in a heat, or breaking in a motor in their heat race for one of the other guys, just because we wouldn't get track time, And people would sacrifice their results just to help out the team, And but yeah, Taylor was awesome. Taylor was one of those guys that you kind of counted out because you didn't see him racing a lot. And then he just shows up and kicks everybody's ass,
Yep.
and everybody's like, who's this guy? He just TQ'd. He hasn't even been here practicing for the last week like we have on this track. And he shows up and first round qualifying kicks everybody's ass, and
super talented.
Yeah.
I credit you guys for the first production truggy, but I was kind of corrected about that. Everybody says GS Storm made a truggy, which they did. But I think you guys had the first, how can I put it? First actual race production truggy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't remember the GS car, but I mean, at the time, believe it or not, there was a truggy, they weren't really truggies. There was a truck class that was raced, and it was bigger tires on an 8-scale car with, they were more like a real truck tire.
Yeah.
And I think Kyosho made a truck, but it was an 8-scale car with like real truck looking tires and a truck body. And I remember Jay Smoker at one of the races was going, dude, they're making these tires and you could do this and you could do that with the Jammin car. And I think about that time, there was a few people trying to do different things. I know Mugen was coming out with a
conversion
thing, but it wasn't wider arms or anything. It was basically their 8-scale car with bigger tires.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I started working on prototyping it. And we made the first prototypes actually here at my shop, at my house. I machined all the arms, the chassis, everything. And I think it was, Dean and I were the first ones to have them. And we ran the cars at the Nationals down. Well, first off, we ran the car at Hemet. And at that time, Chad was still running for Mugen. And I remember it came down the main. It was him and I battling. And my car was just awesome. I wasn't as good a driver as Chad, but I actually was beating him. And then we had a part failure. So we didn't do good there. And then the next race was the Nationals down in, I think, Harlingen, Texas, where Dean and I went with those cars. And these are all handmade cars, machined aluminum arms, machined chassis, everything. And we ended up first and second there. I actually have the picture of Dean and I sitting behind me on my desk here right now. And so then we went from that to finishing up production parts and getting the car out or truck out. We sold, that put us on the map. I mean, we won Truck of the Year that year. We sold lots and lots of trucks.
Oh, it was badass, man.
Yeah, we did really, really well.
I think the tires you're talking about were the Panther tires. Panther made a tire that was like in between a truggy tire, a monster truck tire, and a buggy tire, and people were just throwing them on their buggies, and calling it a truck, like putting a truck body on it.
Yeah,
it was real controversial. Highlight of my career, I actually got a production, early production truggy from you, and off the race. And I made the A-man. There weren't much entries, but then when I looked at the A-man and who I was racing against, it was you, Dean Sexton, Steve Dunn, Chad Bradley, all these fast guys. I just started shaking there. And I was just lap traffic, but it was so cool, that I was actually on the same podium as you guys. So, I mean, same rostrum, sorry. So,
yeah, that's funny.
All right. Now, I kind of got out of RC for a little while after that, after 2005. I didn't really pay attention. How much longer did Jammin last, and why did it eventually come to an end?
It lasted till about 2010-ish. There was, I can't get into why it ended, but there was some huge conflicts with Dave Morales and I at AFNA, and that was part of his demise with AFNA too.
Okay.
So, but at the time, things had changed huge, and some of the conflict with Dave and I, it was like pulling the rug from under me, and I was ready to move on, and I even had a chance with some of the manufacturers that I was working with to still move on and do my own thing 100% by myself. And I think it was just a time then when I needed to move on. I put everything I had into that, and to basically have the rug pulled out from under me by lies and financial things not come through. And, on their side, it was a tough deal. And I was kind of ready to move on, and at the time I started getting to where I was when I was young. I was gone all the time. I was either on the road to a race, at home developing, designing new stuff. I was traveling back and forth to Taiwan, dealing with manufacturers, dealing with hobby shows, dealing with distributors, dealing with hobby shops, and then dealing with all the crap at IFMAR too. On top of that, you know, with not with IFMAR sales, but I'm saying with myself and IFMAR. And I wasn't spending any time with my family. And by then, you know, my daughter's getting older. And so anyway, that all ended. And at the time, it was tough to deal with. I remember making the call to Chad. He was the last one not to leave, even though I tried to get him to leave. And I go, Chad, look, I'm not going to keep on with this, man. I'm done. And, dude, I'll do it. He said to me, I'll do it. I don't need to be paid. You know, I can do it. And I'll do this and I'll do anything. I go, Chad, you just need to move on, man. And,
wow. That's sad.
So it was a tough deal, you know, and that kind of shows you. And that was almost with every one of the guys, you know. And I encouraged every one of those guys. I don't think one guy left us. I encouraged them to leave. And but anyway, I'm one of those guys. I feel things happen for a reason, and that reasoning for that happening, I firmly believe, was I needed to spend time with my family, and I wasn't doing that. I needed to spend time with my daughter and my wife and, you know, my dad and other family members. I was gone all the time. I was so focused on that, you know. So once that happened, I helped, you know, coach my daughter's softball team for many years when I could make it back from work. I focused more on the film business, and I actually had more of a life.
Yeah.
You know, I was able to do things on weekends, and you know, I was the guy who never did anything with my family on weekends because I was never there. You know,
that's interesting, man. That's interesting. That's, like I said, a lot of people don't see that side of the industry. They just see what they think is glitz and glamour. You know, staying in janky hotels and you know, you're traveling around, and yeah, I get it. Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about the TV and movie business. How did you get involved in that? Because you've been involved, like you said, you've been involved in it since like 1986. So how did that happen?
Yeah, in 86, I did some Tyco RC commercials, driving for them and helping prepping RC vehicles. And then I think around 87, I got hired to do a Clint Eastwood job. It was a Deadpool, and I did the little black Corvette in that. And then the same special effects guy hired me. I did Ghostbusters 2, and then it just kind of kept going from there, you know, and I still do it. I was one of the first ones to have a RC camera car in the film industry. We had patents on it for about 15, 20 years, and I still make those cars today. You know, you could actually check them out at radcam.com.
Okay.
And we still do those cars. It's not a big part of my business, but we still do that. They're very specialized for special shoots and things like that and needs of the film industry. But I still do a lot of toy commercials. We probably do 80 commercials a year. I do a few features every year, and I do some specialty showrooms for companies that want to display products in a unique way, and a lot of it's very, very confidential because they're private shows for bigger customers. They might be bringing Walmart in, they might be bringing AutoZone or whatever, and they're private showings of prototype products that they want to get them to buy into, and so they got to display them in very unique ways that appeal to the buyers.
Now, for these commercials and films that you do, how long does it usually take you to prepare? I guess it depends on what you're doing, but how long does it take you to do this? Like, how long does it take you to prepare the vehicle or set it up or what? I don't really know what goes into all of that.
Well, I would say if I do 70, 80 commercials in a year or something like that, I would say 1 or 2 of them are RC related. I very few of what I do anymore is RC related.
Okay.
I mean, I do doll commercials, die-cast car commercials. If it's on TV, chances are I had something to do with it if it's a toy. And so in that line, we're called toy tech. So the product's really not out yet. It might be first run samples, but in the film industry, time is money and time is big money. And so My job is to save them time and money. So they hired me to prep the toys. Usually we have only a day or so before the job. I'm actually starting a job tomorrow. We're prepping tomorrow for 5 days of shooting next week, and every day is a different product. But so it used to be back in the day, to film one commercial, it'd take 2 to 3 days. They were huge budgets, and you would have a couple days of prep beforehand. Nowadays, that doesn't happen. A job is usually shot in 1 day, sometimes 2 days. Then you have 1 day of prep. Bigger, higher budget days, sometimes I have 2 or 3 days to prep. It just depends what the product is and budgets and things like that and the needs.
Okay. What's the wildest RC related item you've had to build for one of these commercials or films?
I would say our camera cars. I mean, our camera cars that we do are very unique, and they're bigger. They weigh about 40 pounds. They'll still do about 35 miles an hour and carry 80 pounds. And it's just like an RC car. Going to every track, you have a different setup. Well, it's just like with filming. We have to set up the cars different for every payload, every type of remote head, because the height of the camera might be a little higher or a little lower. And, it's not uncommon to have $500,000 of gear on top of that RC platform. So you can't, you have to take it very serious, and you have to be very focused on what you're doing.
I can imagine. That's cool. I actually, I have a buddy here in the DR. He does, because believe it or not, the DR does a lot of films, especially Latin American films. They have some studios there, and he was trying to hire me to drive my e-buggy around. I really wanted to do it, and all I was thinking of was you. I would and this is my chance to get in the industry, but it never happened. So, but it's something I wouldn't mind doing. I think he just needed an e-buggy to drive a propane tank around, put a propane tank on it and then act like it went, I don't know. I can't remember. So that's fun.
I've been lucky. I mean, over the years with the RC thing, I've developed RC cars for probably every RC hobby manufacturer there is. I've developed cars for everybody. A lot of people don't know that. I've developed cars, stuff that was used in military, stuff that was used in the police force, and these film cars. So it's satisfying because it's not boring. It's always something different. There's always a challenge of things we got to do, just like you're saying, to build a car to haul a propane tank around. I've had the weirdest calls for things. I mean, we built a car one time for, I don't know if he's a prince, a sheik, or exactly what he was, for Dubai. And he was building a studio over there, and we're building one of our film cars. And then he shows up, and the only question he asks is if it'll hold his kid and he could drive his kid around.
Really?
Yeah. So I've been lucky enough to build some very unique things, and it's awesome because I lose interest really quick, and so it's cool that I get to do different things all the time. Otherwise, I would probably just lose focus on it.
Good stuff. All right, cool. Man, it keeps you busy, that's for sure. And all right, I like to touch on this before we go on to our, because we have another section called the 10 question 10 second segment that I have for you, but I don't send you those questions because these are gotta be answered honestly.
Yep.
RC now, do you still follow it at all?
Very little.
Okay.
I would say less and less. I'm out of touch. A couple of the races I have here and there, but I just don't have time.
Have you seen anything what Joseph's actually been trying to do, this RCGP World Series thing?
I have not.
All right, I would tell you about it. I'll send you. It's pretty cool. He's trying to take it to the same way you took it to the level of teams. He's trying to take RC to that, having it's like a World Series. 4 different locations, 2 races per location, 15-minute race on the Saturday, an hour-long race on the 2 15-minute races on the Saturday, an hour-long on the Sunday, all heads-up racing from qualifying. And it's just it's got 15 pro guys in it, and then it has spec tire, like RC2 class it's called, for like the open guys. So it's pretty cool. It goes to Italy, then it's coming over to the USA for the final round. Obviously, it's Joseph. It's been met with a lot of resistance, and I'm sure you know as well, the RC industry is kind of stubborn to change, I want to say. Is that correct in saying that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't really follow RC anymore, but you do race now and then. You do get out.
Well, yeah, that's true. But like you were saying, that they don't want change. I would say they want change, but most of these companies, all they're looking out for is they don't look at the big picture. If you make the pie bigger, you get a bigger piece of that pie.
Oh man, I've been saying that.
And a lot of them don't look at it that way. They look at it like, what's it going to do for me now? And that's it. And I think back in the day, that's what put Associated on the map. Is they did more than anyone in the industry as far as helping promote RC racing at their expense. You know, and a lot of these companies wouldn't exist today if it wasn't for Associated doing that.
Yeah. They just came out with a badass trail truck that is like everybody's I said this, like Associated won RC this year. Like they just won RC because that's like the biggest genre of RC right now, trail trucks and all that type of stuff. I think it's pretty cool. So how would you compare RC racing now to back in your time, from what you can see, what you've been following lately?
I mean, the big difference back then, we didn't do it. We did it because we loved to do it. There was no money involved when I first started. Nowadays, I think the guys that are racing at club levels and stuff, they're doing it because they enjoy it. But the guys that are on the road, they do it for a paycheck, and that's all they do it for. Tomorrow, I mean, and you see it. Oh man, I'm 100% for this company. They're the best company in the world, and blah blah blah. Then next, the end of the year, boom, they're saying the same crap for a different company.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the sponsor thing is a whole. It's like just how the industry is now, but that all comes back to our spiel about not making the industry bigger, which I am 100% in agree with you. Like, if all the manufacturers came together to work together and make the pie bigger, we would all benefit. But we all have to work together first. Hey man, 40 plus class is growing. It's really big. It's really competitive. You think you're ever gonna make a comeback and do a couple of big races in 40 plus?
I probably will do a race here or there with that. I had a text from one of the guys that puts on the nostalgic race back east.
Okay.
I think it's Eric.
Yes, Eric. Oh, I forgot his last name, but he does it up in the Connecticut area, I want to say. He does.
Yeah. And I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong. Richter, I think. Or
Reichard or something. Yeah.
Reichard, yeah. But anyway, he's tried to get me to come back to that race a few years now, quite a few years, and I always have something going on. But he had just contacted me a week or so ago asking about this September. So I might try to do that. But I'd also like to race a not that that's not a legitimate race, but a race with cars that aren't nostalgic cars that are up to date as far as all the technology and stuff now, and go do an over 40 race someplace.
Yeah, that's cool, man. You should do it. Like, come out and race some nitro once in a while. That's the big, like, over 40 is so awesome. The banter is great. And these guys go at it at these big races, man. Like, oh, it's awesome. It's great to see.
Yep. Hey, what was the Associated car you were talking about, the rock crawling?
It's called they made a whole new branch called Element that just focuses on scale trail. And it's called it's called the Sendero. They have a ready to run version. They have a kit version. And they have like a kit version with lipo and all. I mean, a RTR with lipo and all that stuff.
Okay.
And it's pretty much set ablaze on the trail, like in the trail scene in RC, which is way bigger than our racing, to be honest. I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I think John Schultz and Brad Geck, they were the two guys mostly behind that, and they spent over a year developing it, and It uses a lot of the parts from, I might be wrong, but it uses a lot of parts from the buggy and stuff like that. Their 10 scale platform, but it's pretty cool stuff, man. It's pretty innovative. Cool. Do you have any advice for new people getting into RC?
I mean, it depends on what you're getting into it for. If you're getting into it just for a recreation and to get away and do something, I think it's great. If you're getting into it because you think you're going to make a living at it and you're going to, just from the racing, things have changed huge, and companies are cutting back on drivers. Things change all the time with racing, just like you're saying with this rock crawling thing coming about. And so if your plan is to make a living in RC, you need to go to school, get an education, and then approach one of these companies, for whatever type of field you want to work in.
For sure. And my final question to you would be, what would you say to the RC industry? What would you like to see change? What would you tell them right now if they were all listening to you?
I don't know exactly, but I think if they could work together, the manufacturers better, but I mean, it's impossible. We've all been saying that for 20, 30 years. If they could work together to help build it, I think it could make a huge difference, not just in the racing, but with shows and things like that.
Yeah, I think we have to get it. People still don't know what we're doing, man. They don't know. And that's, I even talked to Rick about it when you get a chance. Like, he's been following the RCGP, and that's the whole point of the RCGP, is to get it, make it look professional, and put it in front of people that don't know that it's happening. So hopefully it works. Hopefully it doesn't. But not many manufacturers have supported. A few have, but it really takes everybody to support it. So
yeah,
unfortunately. All right, man. Well, we're gonna go into the 10 questions, 10-second segment. This is basically, you got to answer this as fast as you can, as honestly as you can. And yeah, it's just fun. It's nothing really crazy. So are you ready for it? Are you ready for the 10 question, 10-second segment?
I think I'm ready. Okay.
The first question is, what's the hardest project you've worked on in the film industry?
Probably Ghostbusters 2, the baby carriage.
Oh, really? You done that? That's cool. That's really cool. All right. Now, you have a choice. 10th scale or 8th scale. Which one's got to go?
That's a tough one. 10th scale is a much bigger market. But, man, I love racing 8th scale electric. They're pretty awesome.
Are you an e-buggy fan, Jay?
I am. I hate to say it, but I am. It's so nice and simple, and you can go race, and you come home, and your stuff's clean and ready to go again.
We have a saying here on the podcast. It's called "Nitro is the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills." And
it's probably true.
All right, number 3, best jamming driver.
Oh, I couldn't say that. All the drivers were great, even customers, and I can't say the best jamming driver because I liked every one of the guys on the team, and they all put in the same effort and the same, they all had a huge part of our success.
Okay. Number 4, your favorite track you've ever driven on?
Probably Del Mar, California, when I won the Worlds. It was pretty cool facility, and not because I won the Worlds. It was close to the ocean there. It was by Del Mar Fairgrounds. It was just pretty neat. Okay.
Number 5, who was your biggest RC rival?
Probably Brian Kinwall for a while there.
Yeah? Okay.
Yep.
Number 6, the most talented driver you've seen?
Ryan Mayfield.
That a lot of people say that, so that's great.
And he's old, and he's still kicking butt.
He's 32. He's not that old. He's been around for a long time.
I don't know. It's pretty old compared to who he's racing against.
Billy Easton made the A-main at the Nationals the other day. He's 42, 43.
Really?
He's still making A-mains and stuff like that. Okay. What is the best race you've ever attended? Like, actual race, not track.
Lyon, France. I think back in the day we did a race, my race for Associated, that was an indoor arena.
Mm-hmm.
and believe it or not, they sold the place out. You wouldn't think people would pay to come to RC race, but they were serving wine and lunch, and it was an awesome event.
Okay. Number 8. Anything RC related racing wise that you wish to design that you have not done yet?
Yeah, I would love to make an electric 8-scale buggy.
Okay, all right. E-buggy pays the bills. You know what?
And sell 10 of them.
Yeah, they actually have the E-Nationals going on as we speak in Virginia. I think it's
Really?
not. Yeah, it doesn't have that many entries, but all the fast guys are there. They're like truggy, E-buggy, and short course 4-wheel drive. Okay, number 9. Name the one driver who you thought should have made it big but never did.
Matt Gosh.
Yeah, he was fast when he was young.
Yep.
Him and his dad, they put in a lot of work.
Yeah, they did.
And yeah.
And he won some races.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that, but I just think he's one of those guys that had a few bad breaks and would have won a lot more races, you know.
Okay, actually, I have one more question. I have 2 more questions, but how did you meet Jay Smoker? I mean, it's obvious because everybody knows Jay Smoker.
He was a local racer here at one of the tracks, and I knew Dean, and him and Dean were buddies, and I mean, he was I guess you'd say one of the characters at one of the local tracks. I mean, once you meet Jay Smoker, you never forget.
Oh, you gotta listen to him. You gotta watch Supercross with him or listen to him tell a story. It's so great.
Ridiculous.
I invented Truggy. He's like on me to get on the podcast. I brought him on for 10 minutes and at DNC. Jay's cool. I have one more question, and I don't know if you're gonna answer it. Who do you think threw the Coke can?
Oh, I have no idea.
You know, they accused the one guy of it, and I'm not going to say his name, and I asked him truly the other day. He says, no, Keenan, I wasn't even in the vicinity when it happened.
Yeah, no, I mean, I moved on from that. I don't even remember who was there, to be honest. And
I just remember it because it's one of the things that stood out in my mind back in the day, and I think if it happened nowadays, people would have a full out, like, RC's being ruined by Coke cans or something like that. So.
Well, if they had it nowadays, we'd have video. But I grew up in not a great neighborhood, but growing up in not a great neighborhood, you learn to have a lot of respect for people. So I was always brought up, you treat people with the respect that you want. And I have a difficult time dealing with things like that when people can't just be man enough. They come up to my face, cuss me out all day long. I don't care. Mm-hmm. But when you walk away and say something or throw something at me, then I have a different attitude for it.
I don't blame you, dude. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I think Dean always told me the story about him getting a fight with Tank Abbott once, back when he was younger. That's pretty cool. Like, really? Like, you got in a fight with Tank Abbott? Yeah, man, I didn't care. It's like, but yeah, good stuff. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. It was great to reconnect with you. I hope to see you at one of these races one day. You go do some 40 plus. I think they might have 40 plus e-buggy at one of these races. I don't know. But Nitro's the glory.
Maybe they need 50 plus. Then I'd be competitive, maybe.
Oh, man. Nah, you love it, man. The banter is awesome. Like, the banter is so great. It's like old times. That's what it's like. Old school racing.
Well, no, I appreciate you having me on, man. And it was great talking to you. And hopefully someone finds this interesting.
I think they will. And hopefully we get to see each other sometime soon, man. And sit off and reminisce some more.
That would be great.
All right, dude. Well, thank you for your time. And you have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You are entering the Techno RC Grassroots Racer Spotlight. The part of the podcast that gives the listeners a platform to talk about RC. Brought to you by Techno RC. Techno RC. Techno RC is a premium manufacturer specializing in 8th and 10th scale high-performance off-road RC buggies and trucks. Visit www.technorc.com for a complete catalog of their products.
Welcome to the Techno RC Grassroots Racer Spotlight. This is the part of the podcast dedicated to all of the racers out there that are working Monday to Friday, or Monday to Saturday, 9 to 5 or 5 to 9. the people that support this industry, the people that, buy RC cars, that are club racing throughout the week, that are going to these big races, that are sacrificing everything to race and have fun with their friends. Without these guys, we could not have an RC industry. So this is the part of the podcast for you guys to have a say. So this week, my guest is a young man. I actually met him last year at the Southern Nationals, which is a great race to go to. I really enjoyed it there. And it's so funny because well, let me introduce you first. It's Joey Bourdon. What's up, Joey? How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Joey, just tell us where you're from and how old you are.
I'm from Canton, Ohio. I'm 13 years old.
Okay. So last year you was 12 when I met you. And it was so funny because I was sitting in the JQ pits and you came across, you was with your dad and he goes, "Hey, Victor, how are you?" And I was like, he thinks I'm Victor Guerrero. I'm actually a lot bigger than Victor Guerrero and my beard isn't as big, but it was funny. And, yeah, it's all good, man. I don't know if Victor likes me compared to me. He's a much better looking dude than me. So, all good, man. Welcome to the Techno RC Grassroots Racer Spotlight.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, you've been racing a lot lately, and you're actually from Ohio, the Midwest area, where there's a lot of fast 8-scale, 10-scale racers.
Yes. Grew up around all those guys. I think it really helped me develop as a racer a lot quicker. It's been a lot of fun. I've been racing for 4 years now.
Okay. What did you start out with when you first started racing?
I started out with a Traxxas Slash. For a couple months, I just begged my dad to get me a Traxxas Slash because I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Finally got me a Slash, and we went out to a local track, and we found out all this stuff and just took off from there.
Yeah? So after the Slash, what did you graduate to?
After the Slash, I got a Techno SCT 410, and I raced that for a long time, as long as, well, I also got a Team Associated SC5M.
Okay.
I raced that for a long time.
Yeah, I have one of those too. Actually, I actually enjoy short course. The little bit that I have raced it, I thought it was a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, I used to race that a lot.
Yeah.
And then I think 2 years ago, I got my first e-buggy. It was a low C 4.0.
Okay. When did you get some glory in your life?
What's that?
When did you get some glory in your life? What I mean by that, when did you get some nitro?
Okay. Just last year, beginning of last year, I started racing nitro buggy, and it was funny because we broke an engine for the first time, and we couldn't get it tuned right, and the thing would just flame out every single race. So
it's a steep learning curve, yeah. Yeah,
this year we really got it figured out. My dad's getting pretty good at tuning. It's really helping. Figured out how to break in a nitro correctly.
Does your dad do all your wrenching, or do you help him out?
Right now he currently does all my nitro buggy wrenching, and then I do all the e-buggy wrenching.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
So, just starting doing that this year, and it's kind of helping a lot for me to know what the car should do and what it shouldn't be doing.
Does your dad come from a racing background of any sort, or did he just naturally pick up wrenching on cars and whatnot? Like,
well, he's a mechanic on real car bearings, and he doesn't have any real racing background. But my grandpa, he was a stock car racer in the 80s and 90s. Okay. So he thinks it's really interesting that I do this. He goes out to a lot of races and watches me.
Oh yeah, has he ever tried it?
I think he tried it once, and he said it was really difficult and couldn't really keep up with it.
Oh yeah, but he does support you in your racing. He goes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yes,
man.
A lot.
That's awesome, man. So you're a young man. You've been. We got in contact a few weeks ago. You was on your way to the King of King race, the last big race at State Line. Track looked very nice. How did you enjoy that race?
It was really fun. The track blew out a lot. It was pretty difficult.
Oh yeah.
When it came to mains, I think qualifying went all right. I qualified second in the B main and e-buggy, and second in the C main and nitro buggy. Nitro buggy, it was an all right run. I was in first by about half a lap with about half the race gone, and all of a sudden my engine just went rich for some reason. We still don't know why, and kept flaming out lap after lap, but it went kind of rough. And then e-buggy, I have no excuses. I just had a terrible run.
Yeah.
Ended up 6th in that race. So mains could have gone a little bit better, but still happy with the weekend.
It was some stiff competition there. It was a lot of fast Midwest guys there. So you being in the B man and C man, that's you was against some fast dudes, man.
Yeah.
And then you just went to Tilt Yard. Now, I've known you was at the Tilt Yard, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've known Homer like not personally. Yes, I've known. Yeah, I kind of known Homer for over 20 years, and I always thought he's been building back 20 years ago. When I used to see pictures of the Tilt Yard, I was like, man, this guy's tracks are the best I've ever seen. And it looks so nice. I hope to go there one day. I would just like to burn a tank on that one of his tracks. So you went to the Tilt Yard this weekend or last weekend? Was it this weekend? Last weekend.
Last weekend.
Yeah. How did you make out there?
Last weekend I qualified 3rd in the A main in I believe e-buggy, and 4th in the A main in nitro buggy, and then I TQ'd overall in e-truggy, which is a class I don't run a lot. It was a lot of fun. Mains went pretty good. Got 1st in the A main and both e-truggy and e-buggy, and had the same problem I did. Well, it wasn't the same problem. I had a kind of rough start. I made it back into the top 3 about 15 minutes later. It was an hour-long main, which is really interesting. I've never ran one of those before. And about 20 minutes left, I was battling for 2nd, and my clutch blew again.
Oh, yeah.
So having a little bit of bad luck on nitro, but we're looking to figure it out.
Yeah, nitro is, man, like RC is all about preparation, but nitro you have to go that extra mile. Like you have to.
Yeah.
So that's why I get it. Why e-buggy is so popular, because you just kind of set it and forget it. But nitro, you take so much time to get it right and maintenance wise. Quick question: I saw Homer did something different with the track this run. He he put glue on it. I've raced on glue tracks.
Some sort of glue on it, and it's supposed to make the track waterproof. It made the surface really interesting because it was really grippy in the corners and just kind of loose at the same time. It was a really weird mixing, but it set out for some really cool racing.
Oh, that's good. Homer's been building badass tracks for a long time, man. So it's good.
Yeah, I definitely think he's one of the best track owners in the USA. He's a really good race director, really good guy. He makes amazing tracks. He helps everybody out. He's awesome.
Cool. So your next big race is
Wicked Weekend in Georgia.
That should be good, man. You're living the RC dream. Your dad's taking you all over racing. That's cool. For sure. So Wicked Weekend, it's a race I've always wanted to attend. I thought I was gonna go this year, but I just can't swing it. But some of our guys will be there, so it's good. Dave puts on some good shows, and I think he
definitely does.
I think the Wicked Weekend is a very relaxed atmosphere. It looks nice. The tracks aren't too crazy, which I like, so should be good. I
always think of the Wicked Weekend as a less crazy Psycho Nitro Blast. The schedule isn't as crazy. The track isn't as crazy.
Yeah,
it's a lot more laid back.
Yeah. That's why I would like to go and actually race it, because I haven't raced for a while. Okay, so let's talk about you, RC school. So you're 13 years old. You're in school. How do you do any other type of sports besides RC? Are you into anything else?
I like to play basketball. I play a little basketball league in the winter that still allow me to race. Other than that, I don't play any sports.
Okay, how about gaming? You're into gaming?
Not that much. Besides, I think VRC Pro a lot. I practice on that a lot.
You're just RC, straight up. All right. So how does that work? What do your friends think of it when you tell them you're into this and at school and whatnot?
I'm not really sure. I really think that they think I race toy cars from Walmart.
That's
I feel
the
like
issue.
That's what everybody thinks.
That's the problem. It's not. We got to keep saying, like, this was a big argument I saw, and that's my argument. It's not toy cars, it's scale motorsports.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to see it to
believe
know
it.
what it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now that you're obviously you're improving, you're still young, you still have a lot of time to go in your RC career. What do you do? What are you doing to improve your racing? Do you race 10 scale during the winter as well? Because I know you can't.
Yeah. Every winter we race 10 scale. I race my Techno 4-wheel drive mod buggy and 2-wheel drive mod car, and we just go to the Ohio RC factory a lot, practice there. But other than that, in the summer and spring and stuff, we go to a local track near me and just bring e-buggy or something, and we'll go out practice for a couple hours. But what we'll do is we go and we say, okay, we're gonna work on diffs today, or we're gonna work on shocks today, and we'll just change the shocks or the diffs and that stuff, and just kind of see what it does, so we know what every change does to the car.
Yeah,
which really helps.
How many times during the week do you get to the track, or is it mostly on the weekends?
We try to go once a week to practice and then go race once a week. So 2 days a week.
All right, that's cool. What does your dad think about all of this?
He loves it. He loves working on the cars. He loves seeing me race. He's really supportive about it. It helps a lot because he's into it a lot. That's
cool, man. That's awesome. Now, do you have any stipulations, like you have to have good grades and all that stuff to keep racing?
Not really. I have good grades anyway, which helps me, I guess. But he's just really supportive about it, so I don't have to worry about it as long as
as long as you keep up those good grades. And, keep going. What do you want to do? Like, I know you're still young, but you're still in high school. What are some of your aspirations in RC as well as in real life?
Well, in RC, I want to be a pro driver, like drive across the world to race. And after that, I want to become a national manager like Matt Walter, because I think his job is really cool, and I think it'd be fun to do.
He works hard, and it's not an easy job.
Yes.
Matt's a good guy.
Yeah, what I like about him is at even big races, he has 2 pro drivers to take care of, and he still helps me and my dad out with pretty much everything, tunes and setup and all that.
Yeah, he's definitely a hard worker. I've talked to him a few times. He was instrumental in helping us with this segment, and he's a good guy, man. He's busy all the time, man. If anybody wants to look at how a manager should be, it's definitely Matt Walter is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, nice guy. Cool, and trust me, it's not an easy job. I'm kind of like a mix of a manager and whatever else, but it's not an easy job, and he's doing a great job at Techno there. I have to actually probably get him on the podcast. Get him, and I'd like to get the owner of Techno on one day to see how it all started. So that's good. But being a pro driver isn't easy. Actually, I think we're going to talk about this on the podcast one day, like how many people do we think are pro drivers. We did touch on it. I think we touched on it a little bit this week, but, we definitely need more young guys like yourself racing. I like to see it. We have aspirations, nice kids who want to race. They're learning. They aren't scared to travel. I mean, obviously, it's a lot easier with your dad, but you have to finish school. You have to stay in school. You have to do that. What do you, okay, so besides RC, what would you like to be? What would you like to do in life?
Besides RC, I haven't really thought about it. For college, I want to go for business, and if RC never takes off, maybe I could start a business somewhere. But I don't know. I think RC is just my main focus, and that's my goal for my life.
Well, that's good. You're young. You have a goal. You got to work towards it. You got to work towards it, man. And you guys are on the right path. So it seems like, just keep doing what you're doing. You'll get better. The results will come.
Yeah.
And like I told you before I get on there, I think you got to practice more of nitro buggy. I know e-buggy's fun and it's easy, but nitro buggy and two-wheel drive buggy are the two things I suggest you practice with.
Yeah, we've been working on it. It's not quite there, but I think it's helped a lot just practicing with it once a week.
Okay. Well, you're a young man in the industry.
Yes.
And what do you think about it so far? What's your opinion on our industry at the moment? What would you like to see happen? What would you like to see change or improve?
I honestly, I can't think of any improvements, but I love how the race time entertainment races run. And I can't think of anything else that would make racing better.
All right. Do you watch any of the European racing or not too much into that?
I haven't watched many races.
You should. If you watch any race, and I'm going to tell you to watch RCGP because I think it's awesome. But watch the recent Euro championships that they had. It's probably one of the best races I've ever watched, and you should watch it as well.
All right.
All right. Well, who are some of the guys you look up to in the industry?
Definitely Joe Bourdon. He's one of my favorite pro drivers. Ryan Lutz. I grew up racing with them. Just all my guys on my team, they help a lot, and I grew up around them. I really look up to Joe mostly. Yeah. He's obviously really fast. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, that's good. He's definitely fast. He's getting better too.
Yeah.
He's had some pretty decent results recently in buggy and whatnot. So it's good stuff. He's a good guy to look up. Lutz is Lutz. Like, I think he's probably one of the best guys in RC. Great guy.
For sure.
Always willing to help. Always willing to talk to somebody. I don't know where he gets all this energy from, but
Yeah, if I be a pro driver, I want to be like Ryan Lutz because he's super helpful to everybody, and he's fast. He's smart with the cars. Like, he knows what he's doing.
How about rivals? Who's some of your biggest rivals that are around your age group?
Around my age group, there's I have a few friends that race near me. Tristan Biter, he's really fast. He races X-ray. We battle a lot. He even goes to big races too. One of my friends, Gavin Gibbler, he's getting there. He's pretty fast, and he races Serpent. We travel together a lot. He comes with us. I've known him for a long time.
Okay.
Some drivers that aren't my age group, Paul Ciccarello and Adam Johnson, they're really fast, and it's fun to compete with them because I know if I beat them, I have a good run.
Yeah, Adam's pretty fast. He did okay. He doesn't travel as much. He should.
No, he
I know
doesn't.
he's in school. He needs to travel a little bit more. I know he went to State Line. It'll probably be a wicked weekend, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, sounds like, man, you have a really solid base. You have, you're surrounded in your region by lots of fast, knowledgeable guys. So, I mean, the Midwest is just pumping out some fast RC racers, young guys. So, do you have any advice for any of these guys your age who may be getting into the hobby, maybe getting into racing? What would you tell them?
I'd say just keep driving, keep practicing, make sure your cars are as good as they can be. Focus on making your cars better, and just keep driving. Go to bigger races to get more experience. It helped me a lot.
Yeah.
And just kind of focus. I mean, I like to screw around at races, but I know if I don't screw around, if I focus, I do a lot better. So it helps a lot.
But you got to have fun, too. You're a kid.
Yeah.
You got to have fun with your friends, and, that's part of it as well. All right, man. Well, do you have anything to say before we wrap this up? Would you like to say anything?
I'd just like to say thank you for having me. It's been really fun.
Thank you for contacting me, man. You said you're going to go to DNC.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, it's a good race. I suggest anybody goes to DNC. It's a bucket list race. It's something that you should do if you're into RC. And I think I'll be there this year, so I'll see you there again. I'm hoping.
Right.
I'm hoping. No, we ain't finished. I'm hoping I can be slimmer now and be around Victor's size. And I'll be happy at that. Would you like to shout out and say thank you to anybody before we close this up?
Yeah, thank you to my sponsors, Techno RC, Tekin, and AKA for all the support and help. And thanks to my parents for literally like helping me do the sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
Cool, man. Well, you know what? Keep that positive attitude. Keep practicing, keep racing, and keep having fun. And you'll just chase your dreams and they will come true. Put into work, man. That's what it
thank
takes.
you, Keenan.
All right, thank you.
All right, see ya.
Bye-bye. Now we're about to go into the JQ Racing Rant. This is the uncensored part of the podcast. We will not censor it. It has cursing, banter, jokes, you name it. Pretty much what we would be talking about in the pits if we were at a race. I do understand some young kids listen to this podcast. Maybe this isn't suitable for them, and that's fine. If you're a parent, you don't mind your kids listening to it, that's cool too. We don't mind that as well. So if this ends your podcast listening for the night or for the episode, we appreciate your support. Please continue to support us. We strive to bring content weekly for you guys, the listeners, the people that love RC. So thank you for your support. If you're going on to the JQ Racing Rant, enjoy it because it's always fun to get on there and talk smack to Joseph or Jeff or whatever we think's going on in RC. We try to rant, but we also try to offer solutions. So remember, Nitro's the glory, E-Buggy pays the bills, and see you next week.
We are now at that point of the show where you should fasten those seatbelts and put your big boy pants on. Whoa. Things are about to get serious. It's time for the JQ Racing Rant.
So welcome everybody to the part of the podcast that you have to put your big boy pants on or your big girl pants on. Pull up your socks because this is the JQ Racing Rant, and we have them back together again after a long hiatus. I don't know who's ruffling their microphone. It's probably Joseph. But we have the Jeff Keaton, who's now living in the Pacific Northwest and becoming a RC superstar. And we have JQ, a.k.a. Rupert Pumpernickel's, the sheriff. Fresh off RCGP in Asti, where he's got a new name, and he actually sucked at this race, really. He did suck. But anyway, we got Jeff and Rupert, a.k.a. JQ, back together again to talk for a little bit. So what's up, guys? How are you, Jeff?
I am doing fan-freaking-tastic. I'm excited because JQ finally grew some fucking nuts, and he came on the podcast when I'm here. Like, I'm so excited. I can't wait to
as if I've been avoiding it. Jesus.
Catch up with my buddy. Like,
he did say that on the podcast.
You've been a bitch. Every time I come on, you're not.
Well, that's not
then
because
you'll
I'm
do a podcast with you. You are avoiding it. Just admit it. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm not offended. I love you, JQ, and it's okay if you're
Keenan has,
avoiding
I don't know,
me.
Keenan has just had you on when I haven't been on.
Rupert,
oh, that's awful convenient. That's just really convenient. It's okay, buddy. It's okay.
Facebook.
It's okay.
That's it. I blocked you on Facebook because you were annoying and spreading negativity. Yeah,
I know,
fake news.
And
so I blocked
because you had some big races coming up, and you didn't want me in your head. I get it. I understand, but it didn't help because you still fucking suck.
Well, Jeff, I need you to come to the RCGP round in October because I need you to pit for him and keep him calm because you have a special way.
No, I think what we need to do is because Joseph and Max clearly cannot uphold the JQ Racing brand on the RCGP, then it's time for some new blood to come in and run the RCGP. So I'm saying that myself and Greg Degani, we certainly can't do any worse. Like, you can only do so, right? We can only go up.
Yeah, it was a sucky weekend.
For the team's sake, we need a fucking change. Let's do something instead of just keep doing the same bullshit week in and week out and losing. Like, Greg and I need to run our RCGP, and then you and Max are demoted to RC2. You're fucking demoted. Go down, get some confidence, and then maybe you can come back up.
What do you have to say
Cool
to that,
story,
Joseph?
bro.
Wow, Jeff, you didn't waste no time ripping into your buddy, did you?
No, I did not.
You've been
Not
waiting for
at
this
all.
for a long time.
I have. I've missed him. I've truly missed him, and I'm feeling neglected because even on the Facebook side, like at first it really didn't bother me. Like I thought it was funny, the whole Facebook block thing and all that good stuff. But he's posting some shit, and I can't see it, and I can't comment on it, and it's starting to bother me. I'm not gonna fucking lie. It's starting to bother me.
That just
When
makes
we
me
had-
happy.
There was that thread that was going on. Oh, my fucking J Concepts body post when I posted,
Oh, yeah.
hey guys, on the team page, we need to start ordering some J Concepts bodies. And then that fucking shit blew up. And then I know JQ was posting some shit in there and I couldn't see it. So people were screenshotting it and sending it to me so I could fucking know what was being said.
Oh, God.
Life must be tough for you.
It is. Like I was pissed. I'm not
All
gonna
right.
lie.
All right. Well, before we get into something, I want to touch on something, Jeff, because you've been up in the Pacific Northwest for a little bit. You had fun. You've been to your first 8-scale race up there. Yeah, I think you're like a celebrity, RC celebrity now. You're on the Track Walk podcast, which is really good. I was listening to it, a bit of it today. You raced outdoor AstroTurf this weekend, and then you was wearing a serpent shirt, so everybody's contacting me asking if you left JQ. I'm like, thanks, Jeff. I'm trying to relax her.
Well, you were on vacation. I'm like, oh fuck, we got to do something to ruin this vacation.
But how is the vibe up there in the Pacific Northwest? It's pretty good, like I told you, right? So how are you liking it up in the Pacific Northwest? It's a really nice vibe up there, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's the people up here. The racing scene's really strong. It's growing. The race organizations are really good. I mean, I really have nothing bad to say.
Yeah.
The talent level, they're not as fast as like a lot of the East Coast, and certainly probably not the SoCal people, but you know, you have Kyle Johnson that runs the big series up here, and he dominates.
You know what's also not that fast?
You?
Your smooth brain.
Your performances at the RCGP races, they're
Rupert,
you know,
stop interrupting, Rupert. Let him finish. I want to talk about the Pacific Northwest. Go ahead, Jeff.
I just want to rant.
But yeah, it's good. Like everything's good. The racing scene's good. The vibe up here is good. The nice thing about these people is RC is not it's not their life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they take it seriously. They have fun. They enjoy what they do. But you know, like on the East Coast, we'll race 24 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Here, they want to be done by 7-8 o'clock.
Yeah, they're smart.
So they can go party, or they can go eat dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's not that, you know, it's not that die hard.
Yeah, that diehard
all
RC
the
looks
time.
pretty cool, man. That diehard RC, that I like what they're doing. They're getting kids involved, and like they do all this different type of stuff. You went there this weekend with Colin.
Right.
I like that. I want to talk about that a little bit, but I mean, we'll probably go on forever. So just touch on your weekend, meeting the diehard crew and racing some AstroTurf real quick.
Yes. So the diehard crew, what's kind of unique about them is they're very community involved.
Mm-hmm.
So they have an actual community outreach program where they go out to the community, they get people, they bring them to the track, they let them drive cars that were donated by Team Associated.
Okay.
And they get to race. Like all they have to do is pay an entry fee. And what they do is before their race, they go to a trailer, they pick up their car and their remote, they go put it on the track, they race, they go return the car to the trailer, and then they go quarter marshal.
I'm gonna have to get them here on the podcast. I think I like what they're doing up there. I gotta get Colin on her too.
And they have these clinics. So like if you're new to RC, you can sign up for these clinics, and they have them like weekly, and that you can sign up for these clinics, and then they bring in, you know, one of the local fast guys, and they teach them how to build shocks, or they'll teach them, how to glue tires or, something like that. So
that's cool.
They do a lot with the newer racers. It's all about community with them.
Joseph,
and
we got to go up to the Pacific Northwest. I've been telling you that for a while now.
How's the JQ racing team over there?
It's pretty solid. We have Austin. I haven't met everybody, but Austin, from the sounds of it, Austin Austin reminds me of Mitch Zeck.
He's fast.
He's really fast, but he's out of control fast.
Mm-hmm.
So once he learns how to dial it in and control his speed and his, kind of understand the car setup thing a little better. He was pretty far off on car setup as far as trying to make the car handle for what he was trying to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited for Burlington. We have a race coming up in Burlington, Washington in a couple weeks. And we'll all be together again. And, I'm excited to work with him a little bit. And,
yeah, you met him, Ryan, Kobe, and Mark and his son.
Yeah. Yep, and they were all good guys.
Yeah, good guys.
We had a great time.
I'm glad, man. I really like the vibe up there. I went up there that one time, and just talking to Jay and the team guys, and talking to Colin and other guys that I've met through the podcast. It seems like a very seems like fun, and that's important. All right, so one thing I wanted to touch on before we go into rants was Cody King becoming Kyosho manager. I know he says he's going to come on the podcast. I kind of figured this was going to happen because he was like, yeah, I got a big announcement coming up. And I was like, all right, cool. I kind of figured this is what it was. But yeah, I kind of knew this was going to happen anyway. So we have Cody King as Team Kyosho manager for the USA. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work out. I hope it works out for him. I hope it does.
Do you want my thoughts? I got thoughts.
Oh God, do we want your thoughts? We got you and Joseph together. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I don't care if you want my thoughts. I'm gonna give them to you anyway.
Okay.
Okay. Here's my thoughts on this situation. First of all, I would love to be in the meeting at Kyosho America and know who actually raised their hand or stood up or sent an email and said, hey, I got a brilliant idea. Let's hire Cody King to be our team manager. I want to know who that guy was, because that to me is interesting. And then whoever was in that meeting or whoever that mass email went out to, all the people, did they reply be like, yo, that's a fucking awesome idea. Let's hire Cody King to be our team manager. Because to me, Kyosho America is pretty fucking desperate right now to have to hire Cody King to be a team manager. At what point in his career has he ever demonstrated team first atmosphere?
Or work ethic.
Or work ethic. Taking his substance abuse issues aside, because people have those, that happens. He went to rehab. He says he's clean. He's good. That has nothing to do with this. As long as I've known Cody, and I like Cody, he's fun to talk to. He's cool to be around. He makes jokes. He has a good time. All that good stuff. There's nothing, as a racer, Cody's a cool dude. But in all the time I have known Cody is about Cody. Cody is going to do what's best for him. He didn't give a shit about the team. He didn't give a shit about anybody other than himself and his racing. So at what point does that qualify him for team manager material? I don't get it. It's a desperate attempt with Kyosho America to try and hire someone, I guess, because he's a world champion, or he hasn't. I can't understand it. I don't understand the reasoning behind it. And I really, really want to know whose fucking idea it was, because that guy needs a new job.
Okay, let's put it this way. How many months until it ends?
Oh Jesus.
Oh yeah, we should do a bet.
I'm pineappling that. I'm not getting involved in that.
We don't
do
pineapple on this. Don't do that.
No, because
if you start doing
let's
that
do it. We should do a bet and be like whoever gets closest to the date when he like switches brands.
He ain't gonna switch brands
or quits
gets fired for trading in parts for drugs or something.
I mean, yeah. Well, yeah, I guess.
Oh God. Oh dear. This is how I look at it.
I'm gonna say June 2020. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt.
You're going to almost a year?
Yeah, like mid-season slump next year, June 2020.
Shit, I was gonna say before then, because Christmas is a stressful time.
December?
Yeah,
December 2019.
I would go December.
Well,
because that's
19,
a pretty stressful time, and yeah, like if you when you
okay,
really
so he
need stuff.
doesn't make it into next year, according to Jeff. I say like mid-season slump next year. So
All
Keenan, what do you say?
Well, I'm gonna have my say on this first before I go any further.
Okay.
I don't know Cody.
This is speaking from a team manager's
I don't know Cody, right? I don't know him. I don't know him for anything. I've talked to him briefly about coming on the podcast and stuff like that. I don't know him. He's a world champion. He's fast. He was fast. I don't know if he still has it in him anymore. I like to see him race some more. We all know
First race back, he beat the captain and some other guy.
Yeah, we know he has. We know he's had his issues, and you know what? Life is like that. People get caught up. They do things. I've been a prison officer. I'm seeing people come in and out of jail. Like this is my last time, and they come back, and so I'm kind of when it comes to like people who have addictions like that, I'm kind of like, you know what I mean? I'm seeing it, been around it all my life. I know what's going on. It's a difficult road, so I hope for him this helps him. You know what I mean? I really do, because he needs to. I guess his life must be a little bit more stable now, so he's getting back racing. He's gonna do this. Cool. I'm happy for him there. As pressure, like honestly, I've been doing this now for 2 years and probably a full-on team, well, just over 2 years, and like full-on team manager. Like, I don't even know if I'm a team manager, but whatever I'm doing at JQ Racing, this is a very stressful job, especially when you work for Joseph, right? But this isn't easy. Like, I tell people all the time, like, I want to work in RC. I was like, if you don't want to race RC anymore, then work in RC. You know what I mean? It's a very stressful job. It's you don't get paid much. You have to love it. I mean, me, I get stressed.
How do you know what he gets paid?
I don't know what he gets paid. I don't know.
Well, it's probably more than you.
Probably. I should have left and went Kyosho. Damn it.
Also, it's not stressful if you don't care.
Well,
so there's that.
You have to care if you're gonna be a manager. That's the thing about it. Because you meet so many people. You're talking to people from all around the world. I mean, on any given day, I wake up and before 10 o'clock, I've talked to somebody in Europe. I've talked to somebody in USA or somebody in Asia. You know what I mean? And then I'm trying to get in contact with you. Or I gotta, deal with this or whatever. So you have to deal with so many different personalities. It's not easy at all. It's stressful, dude.
Well, the thing, that's what I'm saying is it's a people person job, and Cody's not a people person. He's never been a people person.
I can't say nothing because I've never been around him, so I don't know how he is around people. I don't know. I'm
not banging on him because of his addiction issues. I'm banging on him because the dude's never done anything to show that he has the traits or quality or demeanor or ability to handle people. I mean, it just.
I thought his dad was gonna get the job, to be honest, and because his dad
probably would have done a decent job.
But I guess it's just. I guess they're just. I don't know. I can't even put a guess on it. I want him to do well.
All right. So who gives a shit? You've said your piece. Now give a date. How long is it gonna last?
You guys always back me up. Like, I'm supposed to be like Switzerland here, neutral.
Well, just say that it will last for 10 years then, or forever.
Okay, I give it 2 years. Because at 2 year point, that's when it gets like where it gets like woof. Because then it gets kind of old, and then you got to deal with it, and you got to reinvent yourself and all that type of stuff. So I wish him all the best, man. And but at the same time,
well, you can when you have him on your podcast, then you can ask him all those questions.
I will. I mean, I do. If I do have him on the podcast, I will ask him the hard questions. You know what I mean? That's what I want to, because I think he has a great story. I think he has a story to tell, and I think people should hear that. So, All right. Enough about Cody King. I wish him all the best. I give him 2 years, but I know how hard it is. All right.
If you do have him on the podcast, though, you have to promise me that you're gonna ask him whose idea was it to hire him. That's the question I want you to ask.
I kind of asked.
I'm really gonna blow that dude up.
Well, if I was Kyosho, look at it from their standpoint. Kyosho, they're gaining traction a little bit in America. Yes, they fixed their cards, doing better. But Ricardo Berton just won the Euros in a stunning fashion. Did it really affect America as much? Probably not as much because he's not as well known in America. They got CJ Jellin. He's still he hasn't come about as we thought he would so far. It's what is it? It's been about 6, 7, 8 months since he joined Kyosho. They need something to jumpstart or put together. Like, I guess they need something to jumpstart their America campaign.
And they picked Cody.
Well, he's a world champion. He's like, everybody associates him with Kyosho. You know what I mean? So I kind of understand why they did it. I do understand why they did it, but I hope it works out for everybody, man. I do, truly. All right. So we are going to rant this weekend because I know you didn't watch much of the racing at RCGP, Jeff, but I did tell you to go watch that one interview with Rupert the Sheriff, and I thought it made it. I thought, I will say this RC has created some drama. I love it. It was some drama today between Ronald Falk and Canas on Facebook. There was drama between you and Valente Joseph on the track. I thought that was exciting. I mean, this is the type of stuff that I love in RC. Like guys that get heated on the track and stuff like that. So it's your rant this weekend, Joseph. So you go ahead. Let's start it off with you. Come on, Rupert.
I need your opinions first.
Okay. So
the whole deal was that I basically blasted Valente off the track 3 times in Q1 on Sunday, intentionally. The best one they didn't get on film, I haven't seen it at least, it was before going under the bridge. I just punted him he was on the line in that hairpin. I just punted him from behind so he went way wide into the outside pipe, and I continued. It was just perfect, textbook.
Why did you intentionally hit him?
Yeah, so my question to you is it ever okay to take someone out intentionally? What do you guys think?
Well, go ahead, Jeff, because I'm sure you've done this.
Well, yes, it is. There is certain situations that require it to happen. Yes.
Okay.
I think so too, because if somebody's you got some people that'll just drive through you, man, and they don't care. I don't know if they do it on purpose or they just don't fathom that they're doing it. But if it gets to a point where you're like, hey, man, this guy's going to take me out, or I'm going to take him out, or this guy keeps taking me out purposely, I think you have to give him a tap. I will say that.
Well, to me, it's not. It doesn't even have to always be a driving incident. So one of my favorite times that I did that one time was we were at Wicked Weekend, and I booted Rob Lupo off the track, and it was textbook. It was freaking awesome. And I didn't do that because Rob had gotten into me or taken me out at any time. I did it simply because I didn't like the guy.
But
I didn't like the guy. And before the race, I even told my pit guy, I'm on the headset, and Rob's standing next to me on the driver's stand. And I'm like, check this out. This is going to be fucking awesome. And we went over this double, and I jumped corner, and I tapped him in the back, and he went flying off the track. And I knew if I did that he's going to lose his shit, and then he's done. Like, there's no way he can recover from that. And that's what happened. So, like, I tapped him, and I kept going, and he flew off the track. And then within, couple laps, I had already lapped him because he was just wrecking all over the place because he was so pissed.
Okay, that's
and he
not
was on
okay.
the driver's side. He's freaking the fuck out. I mean, I did that totally because I just didn't like the guy. Like, I felt like fucking with him.
But he got you back, though. Didn't he get you back at Phil Hard?
Yeah, but that was a club race. Like, that shit didn't matter.
Well,
this was like Wicked Weekend. This was a big ass race,
Well, Jeff, that's wrong. That's wrong in that case. I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really a situation where it would be okay. So anyway, this is the deal. So in RCGP, because of the heads-up qualifying format, there's been a lot of drama, takeouts, anger, and most of the time, drivers seem to complain to me, so I hear all about it. And it's kind of frustrating. I'm not the referee, I'm just racing there, but I hear about all that stuff. And also I've been involved in some situations, and we all know who the drivers are who tend to take out other drivers the most. So it's Barufalo, Canas, and Valente, now the new additions. So, and I've known this for a long time. So these drivers, they drive at their speed regardless of if there's a car in front or not. And some people say, well, it happens when you're going for it, you're trying to win. Sometimes you end up taking out someone else. Well, there's drivers like Kyle McBride or Lee Martin who pretty much never take someone out. You can race with them clean all day long. And when there's an opening, they'll go for it and they'll get by you. So it's at this level, it's not accidental takeouts. These drivers, when they do something, they do it either intentionally or because they lack respect. So they aren't being careful. And then an accident happens, So it's an attitude thing. So because of all of this, takeout drama this way and that way, and because of Valente's history, and I know he's just like Canas or Barufalo, just a hack. And on the Saturday, in the same race, he ran through me and Max, and we were kind of almost laughing about it in the tents, like, this guy, he just ran through us. And in my case, it was a situation where I was stuck behind a train of cars, and then he caught up, and he just ran over me. And I was like, well, I had to kind of slow down and pace myself behind this train and try and pass the guy in front. And then this guy just catches up and runs over me. And it's kind of frustrating. So then Saturday night, I had a chat with Adrian Bourdon. And I don't remember exactly how it came up, but he told this story of how there used to be a problem with Alex Sanketin in Europe. Like he was driving TLR at the time. He was getting fast, but he was also this kind of driver like Barufalo. Like he just didn't respect anyone and just ran everyone over. So at one race in Padova, Adrian was also racing and he was in the main. And Ronefalk was in the main too. And it just so happened he had a good start. He got ahead of Sanketin. And then when Sanketin came to go by, he went by. And then in the next corner, Adrian just blasted him off the track completely. Like Alex just flew off the track. And then afterwards they had exchanged some words and he said, yeah, he did it because he needs to teach Alex some respect. Like you can't do that to other people and not expect it back. Now I gave it back to you, so you learn a lesson. So then I was thinking about this, and then the next day, I don't know, it just kind of, this discussion we had with Adrian and all of the people complaining to me all the time and these drivers not learning and just taking people out regardless of penalties or not, I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. So in the race, I was racing close to Valente, and every time I would just take him out. And then the last one, I actually cut my fuel line when I crashed off the track. But I mean, by that time, I pretty much ruined his race too. So it was a success in a way. So after the race, go back to the pits. Leo walks up to me and he's like, "What, JQ, what are you doing? Why did you do that? You ruined both our races." And I said, "Yeah, I did." And he complained some more. He said something, and I said, "Yeah, I took you out to teach you a lesson. If your dad isn't going to teach you about respect, then I have to do it." And then he complained some more, and I say, "Look, I'm going to keep taking you out every single time until you stop doing it. Until you respect the other cars on the track, I'm going to do this to you every time." And he was just like in disbelief, walks away. His dad comes over. I say pretty much the same thing. His mom comes over. Everyone's mad, right? Then we had that interview that everyone could see. And then as we walked up on the driver's stand, I told Leo that I'm going to race clean, but if you touch me, I'm doing the same thing as in the last race. And then we ended up racing in the race, and it was clean. It was kind of a similar situation where he was faster than me, he was behind me, but he didn't take me out. He didn't touch me, nothing. So he's capable of doing it. It's just his attitude needed, switching. So he's capable of racing clean. He's capable of looking for an overtaking opportunity and then taking it. But it's just that he needed someone to snap him out of it. He needed someone to wake him up so he respects the car in front. And it actually worked. It's incredible.
Yeah, he actually won that race, didn't he?
I don't think he won that one, but
you
maybe.
Yeah, I think he won, and you came 7th, and you started on pole the next race. You actually had a good race.
I think so.
Yeah. Well,
in that situation, I agree. I think exactly what you did is, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. As long as you're willing to give up your racing as well, because you're just fucking yourself as well. Yeah. But I do think it would change the way how he does something if he knows that you're going to take him out each and every time, and you're adamant about it, like you're vocal about it. So, I mean, if I was in his shoes and I did the same thing, I had taken this guy out 2 or 3 times, and that guy comes to me and he says, "If you touch me again, I'm going to start taking you out every time." I'm going to think twice about touching him or getting up next to him. I mean, I can understand how that would work. My thing with the whole rough driving with the RCGP complaints is I think you're seeing more of it because it is heads up racing. And so we're in a normal race where all you guys race each other, you're only racing once in a weekend, and here you're doing it every time you go on the track. So everybody wants to win. So there is a little more urgency to get to the front, and there's a little more urgency to try and be a little more aggressive and all that stuff. So that's, to me, why you're seeing more of the rough driving and driving through people and just aggression, because it's more racing. You guys, that's all you do is race.
Yeah, and I think this is where the refereeing is important, because all the drivers know who the sort of worst offenders are, right? And the referee knows it too. So the referee is the one who really should take these drivers aside, explain to them what the situation is, and then just give them proper penalties. Like, teach them a lesson. When they do some boneheaded move, time after time, just get them in the pits, count to 10. Okay, there you go. Race ruined. Do you think that after maybe 3 races ruined, they would still be driving the same way? No, I think they would learn. So the referee has to be stricter on this kind of stuff, I think. Well, otherwise, why would they learn? They just keep doing the same thing over and over.
Well, how is it working? Is it one referee up on the driver's stand, or do you have multiple referees, or I don't even know how that works. Like, how does the referee work?
At this race, we had two, so it's Mao and his wife.
Okay, and they're both up on the driver's stand, and you have how many cars?
14.
14.
14. So you have two people watching 14 cars.
Yes,
trying to keep up with.
Yes, but you know who the drivers are.
Well, here's an example.
You know who the problem drivers are. You know this.
Look at the Euros.
You know when they are in these positions, what they do. So, I mean, you have to kind of prioritize what you're doing, and you have to fix the problems. You know that you don't really have to keep a close eye on Carl McBride or Lee Martin. You know that they're clean.
Well, look at the Euros. We talked about it. They gave a guy a penalty during warm-up. You know what I mean? But they set a standard from the beginning, and then guys knew that they couldn't get away with this. So they drove clean. And to be honest, I didn't hear much about Barufalo this weekend. So maybe I missed it, but yeah.
No, he featured plenty. I don't know. I think that guy needs the same treatment, seriously.
All I know is that I know Valente is super talented and super fast. I was super impressed with him. But he lacked the consistency. He's still young, but I mean, they just don't need to do that, man. It takes away. I like drama. Don't get me wrong. I like the rough racing and all that stuff, but I don't like to see races decided on people getting taken out. You know, it has to have some respect. Like, you know, there has to be some form of respect somewhere. If it's a racing incident, then I'm pretty cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that kind of got me going also was the whole Canas Ronnefalk thing at the end of the straight. Canas just ran into the back of Ronnefalk, and then Ronnefalk crashed and flamed out.
Oh my God, he had to been so pissed.
Then they had that interview, and that's kind of what really got me when Canas was saying, like, it's 50-50. He said it's 50-50, like both are to blame. And you see in the video, it's literally going to the end of the straight, and he just runs Ronnefalk over. Like, how can you see that as 50-50? I don't get it. It's like those people that go on American Idol and sing, and they suck, and then the judges say, oh, you suck, you're terrible. And they say, no, I don't, you suck, I'm a great singer. You know, like complete lack of sense of reality. Like, what the fuck? What are you watching? He even said, like, watch the video. Yeah, we can watch the video and see you run him over. Like, how is that 50-50? The hell are you talking about? You know? So, I don't know. That just got me going. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but you also gotta keep in mind too that. And I'm not defending them in this statement, but I'm also saying that you're dealing with a lot of young drivers, and you're dealing with drivers that are trying to prove themselves, and they want to win, and they have the speed. They don't have the experience or the mental side of it to be able to handle their talent, right? So it is a learning curve, and it is something that they have to go through. And like in this case with what you did with him, I guarantee you he didn't learn from that. I mean, I guarantee you he is probably thinking about, he hates your guts right now, but I mean, that's most people do, so that's not a big deal.
I don't care about that.
You know, so the fact that he hates you, and the next time you guys go race, he is going to think about that, and he may race you cleanly, or, you know, really in his case, all he has to do is just wait like 2 or 3 turns, and you're going to wreck yourself anyway. So it's not like it's that big of a deal. But
well, the point isn't really just to race clean with me. The point is for him to race clean with anyone. But that's really the message that needs to get through.
But that's what I don't think he's learned that, because he's still, if he gets up to either one of them, if he's racing with them, he wants to beat those guys so bad. And if he's faster than them, then he doesn't have the mentality to be able to do the clean part because he knows he's faster and he's going to do everything he can do to get in front of them because he wants to win. And it's experience and it takes time. And, you know, this shit's hard. Like it's hard. And unless you have the experience to be able to handle your talents, it's not as easy as just saying, oh, you got to go run clean. You got to go drive clean. That's harder to do than the way how you're making it sound. You're making it sound like he's good, he's fast, he should be able to run cleanly. He should be able to do this. And I don't think these kids are mature enough to do that in a lot of cases. And I'll use Spencer Rifkin as an example. When Spencer, you know, was at DNC when he took Lutz out in truck, right? He wanted to win that race, and he was just doing everything he could do to win. And he used Ryan as a berm and passes him and wins, right? So from that point on, he got deemed this crazy hack and just, you know, out of control and kid's fast, but you know, he has no respect for other drivers. And I don't think it's a respect thing. I think it's just the fact that he wanted to win, and he wanted it more than Lutz, and he used Lutz to win. And was it right? Probably not, but he's learned from that. And today he's way better in driving in traffic, and has a lot more respect for other drivers, and he has a lot more ability to race cleanly. But back then, maybe not so much. So I think you're expecting something from a young kid who's trying to prove himself, and you're asking too much.
I don't know. I don't buy that, but I do think that in RC it's a bigger problem than in many other forms of racing because there's no risk involved.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah,
that's just a RC car. You know, it doesn't matter if you crash or if you land on someone or something like that. Like there's no risk of injury, so that's kind of why gate starts are so difficult in RC because people don't back off. They just go for it.
But right, that's the fun. Just send it. That's our whole mentality. Just send it.
Send it with responsibility. But it's,
exactly. That's what they should do.
It was like, I mean, obviously, let's. I like Barufalo, I like Canas, and I respect Valente for what he's done. But I mean, the complaints against Marco Barufalo has been since DNC. You know what I mean? When I
they've been since he.
Well, I don't know him.
Racing.
I don't know him before. I don't really know much about him before then. But it kind of came to my attention at DNC. You know, Mayfield and the guys are talking about it because that's who pissed off Mayfield at DNC was Barufalo, and then who did he piss off? Where else did he piss somebody off to? Was it then at Austria?
Well, here's the other side to it too is I think the RCGP is very unique right now, especially with all the rough driving stuff, because you are racing every time you go on the track, but you also have the fact that it's not big enough yet where you have multiple mains. So everybody is always in the main. So you have nothing to lose. Like those guys right now, they're not in the points. They're not in the points. So they're not competing at this point to race for points or race for a series championship. Their team isn't in the points for any of that. So it doesn't matter to them. All they care about is winning that race because that race matters to them, nobody else. And so I think that's why you're getting a lot of the you don't care attitudes because it doesn't matter. Like there's no B main. So we know we're all going to be racing each other in the main, and all I need is a podium. I need one good race.
Well, Canas is in the points. He should be in second now, I think. I don't know. I have to check.
Yeah, let's see if Fairing comes back to haunt him in Fund Rally.
Oh, well, I don't know. I just think I think it's going to be great. I can't wait to see the track at Thunder Alley as well. I don't know. I just love it. I love the drama.
Who's gonna build the track at Thunder Alley?
Anthony Westergaard.
Anthony's.
But I love the drama. I feel like it's like I definitely think RC needs more of this. More people get invested in it. Looking at some of the comments and stuff like that. So I don't know, man.
Yeah,
but Rupert the sheriff,
the new sheriff. Yeah, I think some of the drivers should be a bit more open about it. Like I don't know why. I don't know why so many of the drivers just try and be so PC and.
I never get that either.
In private, they kind of say what they think. In private, they say what they think, but then if there's a camera or publicly, they are like, yeah.
That's why I like Mayfield. At least he says what he wants. That's why I do like that about Mayfield. He'll say what he feels, and I like that.
What's that?
I like that Mayfield says what he feels as well. If he's pissed off, he'll let people know.
Yeah. That's how it should be.
All I know, it was like 3:00 in the morning because I woke up. No, it was about 3:30 because I woke up at 2:45 to watch these races because I'm an idiot. Right? Are you still there, Jeff?
Yeah.
So it's like 3:30. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make a coffee, and then I see you and Valente. They're getting ready to be interviewed. I'm like, oh shit, what's gonna happen here? My heart's in my throat, and then I heard the questions being asked, and he goes, "Well, JQ, did you intentionally take him out?" And I was like, oh, my God, this is going to be bad. And it really wasn't. I mean, you told the truth because I know you. Like, I know you don't like stray away from saying what's on your mind. But, I don't think, we shouldn't have to intentionally take on anybody. But it happens, and maybe it has to do a lesson. Don't do it like Jeff, though. Jeff did it completely diabolical and like vindictive. Like, he knew what he was doing.
I think taking someone out is still better than turning their radio off.
What you mean?
Well, you have experience with both. So
well, you'd
be a good judge of character.
You got taken out, and that resulted in you turning the radio off.
Yeah. While being flat.
I don't know. I definitely think that there is instances where it is required and it is needed. And I think there is problems with the issue. Well, here's where I was going to go with this. The problem is on the level of drivers that are like the RCGP side of it. So you have the top level drivers, and there's still too big of a gap between the elite guys and the rest of the field. And you guys are proving that now. So
well, no, not really, because I would say Canas and Barofalo are elite guys. And they are two of the problem drivers who take out the other elite guys. So it's not that the level is different. That's not the issue. Just like at DNC, where did Barofalo qualify? Like second or something? Like he was really high up. He was up there, and he was the problem because he was taking out the other elite guys. So
I just
so are you going to start taking Barofalo out then?
He's not going to be in America. He's done.
He's not going to be there. Canas is though, so we'll see.
Oh,
I mean, he better race clean.
Yeah, but you'll race him again at some point. So are you going to go teach him? Like, are you going to be the teacher now? You're going to go around just start?
I think this is going to be my new role here in RC, I think.
Oh, Lord have mercy. What do they call that guy? What do they call that guy in hockey that just beats up people? Like
the enforcer?
Yeah. Yeah. Rupert Pumpernickel.
Well, seriously, like if Canas races clean in Thunder Rally, there should be no problems. But if we have some issues, then I think Fairing will come back and haunt him.
Well, is Canas really that bad? I mean, I don't know. I know that he fucked David, but
yeah, he is.
He took you out in Fairing, didn't he?
Yeah, but JQ wasn't.
He was in third.
He's Spain's Barofalo. Okay, he's Spain's Barofalo. Let's put it that way.
But he's so fast. I mean, he's so talented.
So is Barofalo.
Yeah, but here's my question though: is he's podiuming and he's always in the mix.
Yeah,
so
if he's
too busy taking people out, how is he up there?
This is the difference. Barofalo is insane. Okay, and he takes other people out, but he also takes himself out. The difference to Kanas is Kanas takes other people out, but when he's just driving around the track, he stays on track. Like he doesn't.
So he's just more experienced at taking people out.
No, Barufalo is just
I know
wild.
he's just not quite as insane. So when he's just driving alone, he doesn't do some bonehead thing and fly off the track.
Oh,
go!
Like what he did with David at the end of the straightaway. He got him good enough to where fuck David. David's shit flames out, but he keeps going.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? They're going to be after each other in the next round, and that's what I like about it. But if you want to see...
Yeah, because they're fighting for second in the championship.
Yeah.
So that's going to be fun, actually.
And they're fighting on Facebook. Well, they were today for a little bit.
Yeah, they were.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. Oh, good.
Kanas was saying that Ronnie Falk's engine has an issue. That's why it flamed out. Like, maybe the engine is the problem. And then he was saying that you can't change lines on the back straight like that. In an F1 race, you'd get a black flag.
Oh, I didn't get to read it all. I didn't get to read it.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Good stuff.
All right. Jeff, you have anything to rant about before we close up here? You always have something to say.
No, I've used up my rant for the week.
Yeah.
I was bitching about the whole comparing our hobby to motorsports.
Oh yeah, I haven't got to that part of the track walk podcast.
Yeah, that's pretty much my rant for the week, is how all you fucking idiots want to keep trying to compare us to a motorsport.
Well, I like it's scale motorsports.
It's not.
It's
not. We're not a motorsport. There's no comparison. Zero. Other than the fact that motorsports and RC, we both compete for something. That's it. There's no other
they have
comparison.
motors and it's a sport, so it's a motorsport.
It is not. RC car racing is not a sport.
It takes physical. It takes ability.
It doesn't have to be physical.
Chess is a sport.
Chess is a game, isn't it?
Chess is a sport.
It's not a sport. We're not a sport. We're a hobby. And until this will quick. We don't need to get too much into it, but this is the part of the problem with our industry right now, and why it's hard for us to grow an industry, because nobody can even come to the same conclusion as to what the fuck we are.
You know what they call video games nowadays?
Esports.
There you go. Yeah,
right.
That's a sport.
You know
it's not a sport.
You know what somebody?
But they call it esports.
But the difference with that is they
make money.
The video game community came together and says, okay, let's call us this, and they came up with esports, and everybody jumps on board with esports. The problem here is that's not happening. You have part of the
because you have
community
idiots
saying we're
like
a
you
sport.
who say, "Oh, it's not a sport."
That's because it's not.
Oh my god!
And if I was in video games, I'd be like, esports. What the fuck is esports? Like, but it's the same thing. We've spent decades branding our industry as a hobby. That's what we are. We're a hobby.
Yeah, and now we're gonna change that.
But if it's a hobby, then we shouldn't have professional racers. That's what I don't get. Like, we have people that get paid to race, right?
Right.
That's their job. To just
it's all about scale motorsports. Sorry, Jeff.
It is not. Nope. Yeah. Sorry.
I have to disagree with you. I love you, Jeff, but I disagree with you.
We'll disagree with this for eternity. But this is also why the hobby.
I do agree with that point, though. I do agree with that point. We can't even come together to decide what we are.
Right.
We can't.
As long as that's like that, I mean, there's no way the hobby can grow like you guys want. Because
we can't get together and do anything. Everyone just wants to do their own thing. Right. That's the whole problem. That's what we're trying to change here.
Yeah, it's like this. It's like this. This is RC in a nutshell for me. Hey, I go to this guy's track. I don't like that jump. Oh, I can build this track so much better. I'm gonna build my own track. 30 minutes away. Yeah, I build a track. Oh, it's really hard. I can't do it as good as I think I want to do it, right? I just half-ass this, I half-ass that. Then next thing you know, you have 25 racers who are now split between 2 tracks. That doesn't help RC. You know what I mean?
Then both tracks shut down.
Exactly.
That's the end.
That's RC in a nutshell right there. That's how RC works, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's pretty. That's
everybody,
pretty accurate.
Everybody thinks they can do it better and it doesn't. But when somebody comes up with something new, I'm not gonna get on my soapbox there. We fight it, and everybody's entitled to their opinions. Don't get me wrong. Everybody's entitled to their opinions, but I don't know. I do agree that if we can't even come together to call ourselves something, we don't know. I know I'm kind of going off tangent the other day.
But you know why it's a hobby? Why we're a hobby and why we'll always be a hobby?
Okay.
Because we're racing toy fucking cars.
See, that's where I disagree. I don't call them toy cars.
You don't.
Yeah.
But when you talk to 90% of the racers and we're sitting around bullshitting, they're saying what's one of the phrases that typically always comes out in every single pit and every single race in every part of the world that you go to. Oh yeah, we're racing toy cars today.
Yeah, probably from people who are losing.
It doesn't matter.
It does.
Still, 90% of the people are saying that.
But if we perceive ourselves exactly, you know what? There was a great post about this today that actually you commented on, Joseph. It was the.
I wouldn't have seen that because I'm fucking blocked.
No, I can't remember who posted it, but it was
that Formula One thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, as long as people still think, well, they're fucking jumping slashes 3,000 feet and stuff like that, we're gonna be perceived as just fucking nerds that race RC cars in a field. Like hair dryers. Do the hair dryer noise.
I can't remember what I did. It was nerds in the field. Nerds in the field.
Yeah, so
that's the whole thing. Like in Formula One, Sebastian Vettel drove a toy car around some cones. That's the perception of RC racing. So when that happens, it doesn't help us at all. It doesn't change anything. Oh, they drove a toy car on some cones. Cool. Oh, it doesn't do anything. You need to have those same people need to see Ryan Mayfield and Ongara whip it over a triple and fight for the win in a race. That's
and what they're gonna they're gonna say, damn, that was pretty cool. He can whip that toy car over that jump. Like, we're racing toy cars. We're in a hobby. It's going to be a hobby. It's always going to be a hobby.
But we have professional people that race it.
My question,
hobby, yes.
But here's my question: is why can't you? There's nothing wrong with it being a hobby. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Sports are hobbies for people. You understand that?
I do.
You do understand that, right?
Yeah, I do.
So just like RC, for most people, it will always be a hobby.
Right.
But right now, we have professional drivers in RC, so it's not completely a hobby, right?
When that profession is such a small amount, when we have,
but it's not that small amount.
It is
in the industry. Listen,
you're talking.
There are
15, 20 people.
Right now. No. We did the math. There are over 30 drivers who are fully paid professional racers in RC.
Okay,
right now.
even at 30, even at 30 fucking drivers, there's 10,000 drivers out there driving toy cars.
I don't even think
30 of them get paid.
I don't even think there's 10,000.
No,
I don't think
there's
more
get paid. I mean, like full-time professional drivers. They don't do anything else.
That's my next question. I don't even think there's 10,000 8-scale RC racers worldwide.
Well, they're
like, when I mean racers, I mean racers.
The number doesn't matter. The point is that right now there are professional drivers, but our industry isn't very professional. It really isn't.
Okay. So
we have an amateur hobby industry and hobby races, but professional drivers compete. That's the disconnect.
All right,
yes,
but here's my problem.
Hobby, and that's what we are trying to change.
But here's my problem with that statement you personally, Joseph, just make is you're trying to make it more professional, right? That's your whole thing.
We have professional drivers, but not a professional
My question
sport.
to you, Joseph, is as a person who built a fucking brand, right? You built JQ Racing, a brand, but yet your brand is based on the fact that you have lived and you currently have the fuck you attitude. And you've built your brand on the fuck you attitude with selfies and everything else, your entire career of flipping people off and the fuck you, I don't give a shit what you think. That ain't very fucking professional. So you're sitting here trying to tell me that you want this to be more professional and scale motorsports, but yet you can build a brand with a fuck you attitude. And I don't give a shit what anybody else thinks. I'm doing my own thing. I can go on Facebook and say what I want. I can bash this company or that company and do anything you want, but yet you expect everybody to treat it professionally.
But that goes on in other sports.
Motocross and motocross is a professional sport, and they do the same.
Yeah, flipping off people. Yes. Look at Kyle Busch. Look at Kyle Busch in NASCAR. I don't really follow NASCAR. He's like fucking Tony Stewart. All these guys have built their careers on being the professional drivers that don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Look at who was radical in
But that's it. But again, I think I think that's different because that's a driver who's saying that. That's not a brand.
There's brands out there that do that too.
If the owner of Haas is going around and talking shit and flipping people off, and that's just their motto of that company, I mean, you really think that's professional?
You think it's professional that we walk around in hoodies with names on them and all these sponsors in some fucking horse arena in the middle of nowhere where nobody knows what we're doing? That's not professional.
No, I totally agree.
You think being at a track from 6 a.m. until 3 a.m. with like thousands, and there's just all these different entries and everybody racing, that's not professional. You know what I mean?
That's why it's a hobby. That's
needed.
Want to do.
That's needed. But we come down to the same point. We have people that are getting paid to do this for a living. Now, I want to see that side of RC be more professional. Why? Because I'm a fan of RC. Here's my biggest thing. I love RCGP. I'm loving it. But you know what I keep saying to myself is how much better would this be if Mayfield, if Lutz, if Tebow and Bornhorst and all these guys are racing? Because you know why? I want to see these fucking guys race. When are we going to see them race again? We might see them race at DNC. Okay, we'll get to see them run 10 scale worlds. Okay, I'm not really big into 10 scale, but we'll get to watch them run at the worlds. Then we might get to see a few of these European guys come over and race DNC, and then that's it until the Worlds in 2020 in Brazil, right? Then we won't see them all race again for another 2 years, and that's what has to change in our industry. Like this is why I like RCGP for the series side of it, because I want to see these guys compete more than once or twice every 2 years, or twice every year, because that's what I want to see. And as a fan of RC, and I think people want to see that. How many Americans have tuned in? But
again, you're talking about two completely different things.
No, because that's the professional side of RC.
You're talking about watching the best of the best race each other on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean when I say professional.
But that doesn't.
What's that noise?
Racing each other doesn't have anything to do with professionalism.
It does.
What do you mean? Of course it
does.
That's what other motorsports. That's what other motorsports is. It's a small group of professional people doing it professionally, racing in a series, and then 99% of other people who participate in that sport do it as a hobby locally.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah, it's like any other sport. It's like motocross. People are motocross fans. They watch Supercross. They watch motocross.
Okay.
Then they go ride motocross at their local
let me
track.
Ask you a question. Do you and I know you're going to say yes to this, but you don't fucking know either. But do you think Supercross grows the local MX track?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just getting on the ferry from Germany to Sweden. So.
Yeah, I hope it isn't like I hope it isn't like the Titanic.
Well,
Hopefully
speak
not.
for yourself.
Anyway. It's not very nice.
Yeah, I know. I know it wasn't good.
So anyway, where were we?
if that boat sunk and you were on it, then we could get somebody to take over the brand that's actually gonna like update the car so we can, get a better car.
That's coming.
And take over RCGP also.
No,
people join because it's an awesome idea.
I think you need to stay with RCGP and we need to hire someone, a new engineer to start working with the car, because clearly you're spending all your freaking time on RCGP.
All right.
Okay. Well, anyway, don't worry about that. We were talking about Supercross, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You were saying, does Supercross help? Of course it does.
How?
Of course it does.
It does.
Because people see it. People are like, I want a dirt bike. I want to ride. I want to be James Stewart. That's how it works.
The people that race dirt bikes or that own dirt bikes, I bet you 95 to 99% of them watch Supercross.
Well, no, I get that.
And then more people get into.
Many of them watch it before they start riding.
I'm saying somebody that doesn't really have an interest or hasn't had an interest in Supercross, right? And they see Supercross on TV. Are they running down after watching a Supercross race? Are they running down to the KTM shop and buying a motorcycle and going to go race?
Some people are, yes.
Yes.
That's how it works.
And then they go to the local track after they buy a bike, right? And they get to learn at their local track how things work, what works and what doesn't work, just like we're trying to do for club racing in America, all around the world. So people see it, right? Then they go, all right, I like this. I want to do this. Where can we do it? Oh, go to the RCGP website. Here's a track affiliation page. Oh, I live in Los Angeles. What's the closest track to me? Oh, Revelation. Maybe I can go there and learn more about the hobby. Hobby, industry, scale motorsports, whatever you want to call it.
I get the philosophy and idea behind that. But the problem is I disagree with the way how you guys think it was. Because I don't think Supercross itself or a series in general, I don't think that is what drives the sales or interest. Personally, I think it takes an organization like AMA, for instance. They drive the interest. They drive people to a specific website or organization, and that
they
allows
drive
the
the
people
interest
to
by running a series, Jeff.
Yeah, but it's still the organizational body. The body is what does it, not the
they
series.
run a series.
Yeah.
They run a series, and that's what creates the interest.
And then
Just
they
like
have
RCGP.
Yeah, but you're doing
a
it
series.
backwards. You're a series.
No. RCGP is a media company that runs a series.
Roar and EFRA and FEMCA and FARMAR and IFMAR are the organizations.
Yeah,
Right.
we would be happy to work with them if they weren't so.
They're the ones.
short-sighted.
They're the ones that have to do a better job
Yes.
to drive the industry.
But they also
they should work. They should work with RCGP. IFMAR should work with RCGP. RCGP should be the media for IFMAR and push it forward and have a series and have a IFMAR Worlds are the Olympics. RCGP are the World Championships. You see what I mean? We should all work together and we could do something better. But no, everyone wants to do their own thing.
That's right, and that's why
we come back to.
That's
we
the
can't
very
even,
reason. That reason right there is why I'm on my soapbox is saying the RCGP in itself isn't growing the hobby. It's not going to grow the hobby.
Yeah, but it will. It will.
It won't. Hey.
J Concept's doing like some, live stream off an iPhone. They think that's better than working together.
No, I think that's better.
It's not, but it just caters.
How is that better?
Yeah.
And then Reds does the same thing.
I'll be honest with you.
Like all companies just do their own thing instead of companies working together and doing something bigger.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. That's the problem. We all can agree on that.
That's the problem. Instead of having one big race with all the drivers there, everyone has their own race, so there's 10 small races. That's where we are right now.
Right.
Stupid.
But again, I mean, we'll disagree on this forever because it's not the only thing that's going to drive the only thing that's going to increase our attendance and our sales is the manufacturers. They are the ones that need to do a better job in promoting the hobby, because we're a hobby. Remember, we were back on this. We're still a hobby. So the manufacturers themselves have to do a better job in promoting the hobby, and ROAR and all the organization bodies have to do a better job in promoting the hobby.
But we've been waiting for them to do that for how many years now?
So it's not going to happen. Someone has to do it.
It's not.
Now, actually, things are improving now. You know, there are some things happening in the industry, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, why it takes RCGP to try and do something, and then instead of these people joining RCGP, they think, okay, we have to do something, and then they go ahead and try and do their own thing.
Yes.
I mean, it's good that someone's doing something, but why not support RCGP, who started off and is doing something that they obviously like? Why do they then say, oh, well, we're just going to do our own thing?
But
it's.
I'll come back to another topic, Jeff. These manufacturers pay these drivers to promote their products, right? That's what these drivers are for. Yes.
No, they don't. They pay these drivers to win races,
right,
so they can promote their products.
Right, but their drivers are promoting their products because they're winning with their products. So they're promoting.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, but not directly.
Yes, they are.
It's not. They're if
Then these guys aren't professional racers.
If you're a paid
then.
driver, obviously they have responsibilities, or you're supposed to be a good ambassador for the brand, or you're supposed to promote the brand and all that stuff. But that's not why they're paying those guys. They're paying those guys to win races.
Yes, of course, but winning races is a form of promotion.
That's right.
Just like they pay Ken Roxon, just like they pay Eli Tomac to win races for their brand of bike. So then people be like, oh, the Kawasaki's badass. I'm going to buy that next year. Like, you know what I mean?
But KTM, or whatever manufacturer is paying this paid driver, they're not expecting, or well, maybe they expect it, but it's not happening. That paid driver isn't the one it's not that driver's job to go out and get new people to go out and ride motorcycles.
No, but his results
it's his job to win races.
Right,
That's
through his results. But he's also the face to do that. You know what I mean?
Thanks for reminding me about what I was supposed to say before I had to get on the ferry. So you were saying that it's a hobby, and I said, yes, we have professional drivers. So the drivers are doing a sport, but the sport isn't really functioning. So it's the paid drivers doing a hobby at the moment.
Right.
And it's not sustainable. These companies that pay drivers, most of them are companies that aren't really relying on the sales of the product to pay for the driver. We have Infinity, who has, deep pockets, endless supply of money. It's just like, what's the budget? Okay, let's throw some money at it. Maxima, same thing. S-Works now, the guy owns car dealerships in Austria. It's money is coming in from somewhere else.
It's not their livelihood. It's not their livelihood.
Yeah. And then there are
why is that?
Okay,
because it's a fucking hobby to them.
Yeah, HB Racing, owned by Neidhart, is a big distributor in Switzerland, and also owns Orion Performer. And so I don't know if the HB portion of what they're doing is profitable or not. But what do they have? 2 paid drivers? I mean, that's like the maximum.
Well,
and I don't think they're making money on the HB thing. They're making money on the distribution of hobby products and toys. The racing side of RC is broken at the moment. You can't.
But Joseph, you're making my point for me, because all the manufacturers are using this industry right now, the racing side of the industry. They're using it as a tax write-off, as a way to distribute money, all that stuff. They're not doing it to live off of. They're not doing it to build anything. They're doing it because it's something fun that they enjoy doing, and it's something to do. It's not a livelihood. It's not their way of
exactly.
life.
But it doesn't need to be that way, and that's what we're trying to change. Because I think it could be something bigger. It could be something better. It could be something that you can do and make money doing.
Well, could be a lot of things, but that's not where we are now, and that's not where we're going to be in the next 5 years.
But guess what? We keep saying, everybody says, we've been saying the same dumb shit for the last, I'm in an RC for 20 years. You've been in a lot longer, right? I'm in an RC for 20 years. I'm heard the same dumb shit. We need to do this. We need to do that. Or this, the hobby shops are struggling, which I agree, because, things are different now. Blah, blah, blah. This, that. I say to myself, AE won RC by making trail trucks. We're not doing anything different. We're not doing anything different than what we were doing 30 years ago. We're not doing anything different than we're doing 5 years ago, but we're all sitting around saying we need something to change. But nobody's doing anything different.
I disagree with that statement, because we're all not sitting around saying that. It's a select group that's sitting around saying that. I don't think AE is sitting around saying we need to change our industry.
Of course they would want to if they could sell more.
Our industry is doing pretty freaking good.
Some people in the industry are doing pretty good. That's why AE went out and made a scale truck and a whole nother program, a whole nother part of their company just to hit scale trail, because they know it's money there.
Because they know that's where the money is.
Right. Because but we have RC, but AE started as a racing company. So they're racing. So now Element, I don't know how their books are. Joseph, can you go to someplace quieter? Jesus.
No, I can't. I can end this call because I want to go to bed.
All right.
2:30 a.m.
I'm sorry. It's 2:30 a.m. Rupert needs to sleep.
Yeah, you can just go on and argue about it.
Nah, it's over.
You're on a boat.
You're on a
boat. You have the stars above you. You can just bask in the beauty of wherever the fuck you are in the world.
Anyway,
Germany.
All right. Well, scale trail is awesome, Joseph. It's a big mark. We should
that's really lame.
It's a fun hobby.
It is, because it's a hobby because you don't race it.
Scale and trail, that's really a hobby for kids. And incels.
And what?
And incels, involuntary celibate men.
Oh, God. You just insulted the whole scale trail. I will definitely
one phrase.
Did I just...
You just completely fucking got a whole new group that hates you now.
Yep. I guess I have how many more people that hate me now?
I don't know.
That's not very professional, Joseph.
Yeah, well, neither is
fine.
Neither is
okay, well, right. Oh, one more thing. Seems like we're on the subject before you go to bed, Joseph. Here's one more funny kind of slight issue that I have with RCGP, and it's based off of, I've kind of had this thought, but it really came to terms with me with the content that came out of the last race.
Oh, God.
So
here we go.
So RC Racing TV they do a great job, and I love what they do, and they're better than Live RC. All that, I'm not getting it. They do a great job, and I like Nick. Nick is an awesome dude. I like listening to him. I like how he makes fun of shit, and how he, when somebody wrecks, he calls them. He'll make some stupid phrase or name or whatever, and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's his personality. He does a good job at it.
Yep.
So here's my question. Okay. You're trying to build a brand that's professional, and professionalism is the word that you like to use. So my question to you, Joseph, is if RCGP is supposed to be this professional media outlet, then Nick makes it sound like a hobby. Nick makes it feel like it's a toy car. When Nick talks about this stuff, he dumbs down the hobby, or he dumbs down what's going on. He makes stupid jokes. When he does his little track walk, like on this last one, he was like, out of breath, and he was like hopping around, like talking like he's a little bunny, hip hip hip, hop hop hop, and he's hard to understand, and he makes some sort of bullshit joke. To me, that's not professional. To me, that's dumbing down what we are doing out there. So if we're
I'm really happy
professional,
about this. I'm really happy about this because this is going to be really easy.
Okay.
I completely agree with you.
Oh,
100%. Thank you for saying
shit.
that. We've talked about this. I brought this up, and I agree with you.
Well, damn. I
I've
had a whole second half that I was getting ready to go into about Ricky Carmichael and shit.
I've explained and I've said I've explained that in my opinion this isn't the right way to portray it, because this is kind of what we want people not to think. We want people to look at it and imagine it being motocross or supercross or NASCAR or Formula One or whatever. And if that's the case, then the presentation needs to be serious too, because then they'll take it seriously. You wouldn't see like
my example was
Jason Wygant or Jeff. What's his name?
My example was, you wouldn't have, when Supercross does their track previews and stuff, and Ricky Carmichael is out on the track. He's not acting immature. He's not bouncing around like a little bunny.
Yeah, I know.
He's saying, here's the double, here's the ruts. You got to stay out of this rut. This is a hard turn, and he's professional. He's serious about what he's doing.
And you need to include more relevant information and technical information and these sorts of things, which makes it more interesting and in depth and professional. I agree.
He needs a partner.
What?
He needs a partner up there when he's calling a race. I said that from the first one too.
That costs money though.
Yeah, but somebody
you have to have somebody who is experienced in play-by-play, because that was the other part of where I was going with this. Is when he's trying to call a race, he gets confused and he gets flustered, and he's like trying to call the leaders, and then he jumps back here, and then he kind of like fumbles around and tries to get back to the leaders, and he can't keep up with everything that's going on, and it's not his fault.
That's something we're gonna address.
It's hard to do, but that's with every announcer across the country. Announcing a RC car race is freaking hard to do. Like, it's hard to keep up with what's going on the track, because you have so many cars and shit's going on, and it's hard to do. But that's also why I say that it's to make it seem professional, like what you want, like a motorsport type of thing. It's impossible, because it's boring. It's boring to fucking watch.
That's why the format needs to be a certain way, and
but it has even nothing to do with even nothing to do with the format. If the people that enjoy watching motorsports is into motorsports, or into like NASCAR fans, or huge NASCAR fans, but they don't like Formula One. Motocross guys like Supercross, but they don't necessarily care about the on-road bikes that go around. You have your different cliques and you have your different things, but the problem is even, well, let's take the Mickey Thompson off-road series, right? So the Mickey Thompson off-road series, it's on TV, and to me, it's boring as hell to watch. Like, I've tried to get into watching it, and I can't do it because it's boring. There's nothing, and those trucks are wrecking each other, and they're flipping off, and shit's flying off the trucks and all that, but it's hard to get into it. And if it's hard to get into that, how difficult is it for somebody to get into watching RC cars flying around the track?
Yeah, it's also difficult
to watch. It's boring to watch. Unless you're a participant.
It's not boring for everyone. And also, one thing that makes things more interesting is when you know the people behind it. When you know the people under the helmet in real car racing, or the people behind the radio.
Yeah, it's the stories behind the racing. That's the drama.
It becomes more interesting because you care about the person.
Right.
You care about the story.
Right. You have someone to root for. See, and even in this last one.
That's the sort of videos that we hope to release after the season, because we just don't have the resources to do them now. But the series needs a few years under its belt to reach its sort of full potential in a way. Yeah. So we're just gonna have to be patient.
Well, that's one thing I struggle with.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well,
go
get your beauty sleep, Rupert. And I still like how Nick Coles races. I understand what you're saying, though. I totally understand what you're saying, Jeff, and what you're saying. I think he needs an analyst up there with him to help him because it's extremely hard to keep track of the cars and make it interesting. You know what I mean? So he needs somebody with him that knows these drivers, knows what's happening out there. And like, you can have him. He can be excitable, but you need the calm person to talk. Like, yeah, he just whipped it up there because that's why whipping does this better, blah, blah, blah. You really need a driver up there calling the race.
Yeah, they had Lee Martin was in the booth and someone else was
They did an interview, though.
They
did interviews. They didn't talk about the race. They talked about, which was cool because I enjoy the interviews, but they didn't really talk about the actual race.
I thought the point was kind of to watch the race and talk about the race.
No, but they need to have a driver up there, and then they can analyze it. I suggest putting Jeff in the booth with them if he comes to RCGP.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. What do you think, Jeff?
I mean, I like to talk, so I'll be anywhere.
Yeah, that'd be good.
All right, well, go get some sleep.
I'll be Rupert. I just want to as long as I'm there for Joseph's race. So I could be like, oh, there's fucking Joseph going off, flipping off the track. Oh, wait, Joseph just took out somebody again because he's trying to teach him a lesson.
It'd be Rupert.
Okay, anyway, I'm done with you guys.
All right, buddy.
I'm out.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for joining us, Joseph. Have a safe cruise back. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you to all the listeners, and thank you to our sponsors.
Remember, everyone, to sign up. RCGP in Thunder Alley. Jeff is going to be there. And the whole entire JQ Racing team in America.
Yeah.
Thanks, Keenan, for organizing that. That was really good of you.
Yeah, and Greg Degani and I are going to race RCGP, and Joseph and Max are going to run the RC2 because they've been demoted.
Yeah,
after their piss poor performance all year.
It's not that bad, really. Anyway, Degani has signed up for every RC2 race so far, and I think this one he's actually going to attend.
No shit. That would be a miracle. We're going to get some Krispy Kremes for him. He'll be there.
Okay. See you guys.
Bye-bye. All right, Jeff. Thank you.
All right, I'll see you later.
All right, bye. And I want to say thank you to all the No Name RC podcast listeners from around the world. We appreciate your support. We cannot do it without you. I know we kind of went on a little tangent on the rant this weekend, but that's how it goes sometimes. Jeff and Joseph haven't spoke to each other for a long time, so they had a lot to say. I want to shout out and say thank you to our sponsors: RCMX Online, Euro RC, Techno RC, 454 RC Works, Bipolar Designs, BK Hobbies, Assault RC, JQ Racing. Remember, guys, we have promo codes of a lot of these guys. A lot of these sponsors. Showing our sponsors some love shows the podcast some love, even though you guys show us enough love. But we appreciate it. The Facebook page is almost at 2,000. We still didn't give away the skateboard deck. Nobody entered. Only one guy entered, and he got it wrong. So we still got the skateboard deck we got to give away. And man, it's good to be back. Took a little break, but we're back with a vengeance. We got some awesome pods lined up for you, some great guests. And we'll coordinate and get Joseph and Jeff on again because we know we love it when those two get together. It makes it fun. So anyway, guys, remember, Nitro is the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. If you ain't grinding, you're sliding. And if you ain't having fun, it doesn't make sense. Lefty out.
Thank you for listening to the No Name RC podcast. Please tune in next time for more fresh RC content. And if you can, please also support us on patreon.com/The Quay Grain. We will greatly appreciate it. And don't forget, Nitro is the glory.